I was thinking about the better days. My youth so happy, my hair so nappy, had an afro.
Yo, what is going on, people? It's good to catch up with you guys finally. It feels like I've been away for ages. And yeah, a lot of you guys have been leaving me some messages, and I have to say, I needed to take a break. That was the long and short of it. There's so much things going on. I think Vincey's just joined me here, so I will put Vincey in the chat. Let's have a look.
So I'll get my camera up. Do apologize.
Yeah.
It's
No problem, bro. No problem. Shout out, big up to everybody in the chat. And yeah, man, let's get going. Let's get going. Yeah, I needed a break, guys. So a lot of people have been asking, where are you? Where's your videos? Blah, 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 blah. And to be honest with you guys, even in the forum, I have been keeping up with everyone in the forum. We've got nearly 7,500 people on the forum on 101. So big up to everybody who's bigging up the forum. The forum is live 24 hours a day. It does not sleep. I was in Dominican Republic for 2 weeks. I was 6 hours behind you guys. So when you guys were sleeping, I was still going on there and people were still active. And so, yeah, it got really, really busy. And it's good to see, man, because it just goes to show how much commitment you guys have got to kind of keeping up with everything. You guys are hungry. You guys are like mouse with cheese, man. You guys are hungry when it comes to all of these updates and news. So big up to Garfield. Garfield he's just finishing Goldbridge. Yeah, we're going to talk about party. We're going to give you our 2 cents and let you know what's going up. Big up to 18 as well. Hope you're doing okay, brother. Hope everything is good. Big up to, what have we got here? Big up to Emerson. Yeah, Emerson, I hope you're doing well, man. Hope everything is good. And then big up to you, bro. And Garfield, yeah, health is important. That's why I'm kind of putting things into perspective. I looked at the summer and I was flabbergasted and I thought, you know what? I'm not doing this right now. I'm gonna shut down for 4 weeks, and then I'll come back afterwards and just attack everything as it is. So I've had my rest. You guys are gonna get now videos probably every couple of days now. I'm gonna do transfer videos and updates for you guys. Preseason is starting soon as well. We're days away from preseason and the players reporting back. So yes, I'm going to keep you up to date with everything. Big up to everybody. Thank you for not unsubscribing and thinking that I was closing the channel down. Big to you, Cam, as well. Hope everything is good with you, man. And so, guys, listen. Just want to kick off here with something that's really important to all of us. Arsenal fans know very well it happened to us with Antonio Reyes. We all went through it. He also passed away in a car crash. And Diego Jota, man, I don't even know where to start with this, guys. This guy, 28 years old, died in a car crash along with his brother, Andre Silva. And his brother was 25 as well. And hear this, guys. I think the horrible thing about this whole thing, Vincey's come back. What's going on, Vincey? Big up to you, bro. You're looking well, man.
Yeah, man. Just living the dream. Got old school.
Vincey, no lie, you look 20 years younger, bro. What is going on? You look like 20 years younger.
You're gonna have to I have to move the camera here so you don't see that salt and pepper on the side. On the side.
Oh my God.
I'm all good, man.
Yeah, life is treating you good, man.
Yeah, I just spent some time away with the wife and got a little bit of sun. And yeah, I think just playing golf is just helping and just dealing with life. So yeah.
Shout out to Sunday as well. Big up to you, brother. I hope everything is good with you. Big up to 18. 18 says, yes, I'm wearing the away jersey, guys. I've got the away jersey.
Yeah. Apollo never fails. He's on time with the shirt.
Hey, listen, you want to hear the joke? I came back from Dominican Republic and it was in the post that my daughter said it came like 10 days ago. So it's been sitting there in the post. I nearly tripped over the damn thing when I came in. I was like, what's that? Open it up. shirt with my name on the back of it. Adidas never failed to amaze me. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. But guys, listen. Before Vincey came on, I was talking about Jota, and I said we went through it with Antonio Reyes, and it's astonishing. The events. I think the difficult thing in this is that the death could have been avoided on so many different ways, that everything just aligned towards his death. And I've known a couple of instances. Someone very close to me passed away in the back end of last year. A brother of mine, very, very close to the family. And the kind of same thing happened there, where certain spots was just put in place to cause the event of what happened. The car obviously was supposed to be serviced and it wasn't. He wasn't due back on the day that he was supposed to be coming back. That date was changed by the team. The doctor told him not to fly because he had undergone a minor surgery. So he was told to make the trip by car. And obviously, because the brother knew he had a 2-day drive, his brother, Andre Silva, then said to him, let me keep you company. So if all those events didn't happen, like there's 5 events leading towards this thing. And if none of those things happen, if the car obviously was in a different situation and serviced, if Liverpool had told him to come back on a different day, if the doctor had told him he couldn't fly because of this minor surgery he had, none of this would have happened, and him and his brother would still be here. And we can't really do what ifs at the moment, but I think it just goes to show how brittle life is. Like, life is so brittle, guys. It can be gone just with a click of a finger. And it's a scary thing, man. The fact that he was told to take a trip by ferry and car, and he just married his long-term partner like 11 days ago, Vincey. 11 days ago, he just got married. And he's leaving behind 3 kids.
Apollo, I think we grow up. I think it's fair to say you grow up associating death to cruel and bad times that lead to death. But we don't think about the fact that he's living his high. He's just experienced from living his dream to win a trophy with Liverpool. As you get married, you get kids. It's like all of the things that are right up there, and then a car accident leads to his life being taken and his brother's. And I just think we all need to recognize life in general is it's just short.
Yeah, it is.
We could be talking now, and any one of us, heaven forbid, but anything could happen to us as a result of just being on this stream or watching the stream. And we've seen players who have gone on the pitch to live the dream and play football and collapse and it's
so brittle, man. So brittle. Big up Andrew. Andrew says kind of puts life into perspective. Getting so hit up about the club, supported, not winning a trophy, a train. I will be on board. Yeah, it's and the thing is that's the reason why, like, I have a different tone, man. I'm just built different because, like, for me, this is entertainment. It's not life. It's entertainment, and we're supposed to be having fun, guys. Like, Arsenal is a place that you can go to. Not so much Arsenal. Football is a place you can go to just get away and be entertained. You put a lot of money into it, and you put a lot of time into it, and it's something where you're not supposed to be stressed out. If this thing is stressing you out, and you see guys going mental and crazy, and seriously, over the years, I've had to pull about 10 guys away from the club just because it wasn't good for their mental health. I've had guys in the forum threatening people and all that stuff, and I've had to pull them away, private message them, and like, what are you doing with your life, bro? Because this is not working. It's not. I don't want to ban you. It's not about me banning you. It's about your perspective on life, your perspective on your mental health. Like, stop for 7 days, look at what's going on and reflect. And honestly, the majority of people I've talked to, they've just like, you know what, Apollo, I'm going to take a time out. And some guys have taken timeouts and come back, and other guys have taken timeouts and not come back. But it's just that thing that we're here to have fun and to be entertained. In the words of Vincey, are you not entertained?
But you know what, Apollo? I think when you play the sport to a level where you give it your all, whether you play professional or not, and you've studied the game, you for me, football is a drug.
Yeah.
And I've had to find ways to enjoy watching my team and not expecting them to win. Now, Arsenal fans will turn around and say, what are you talking about? You're supposed to still be happy or believe in the team. There is foolishness you're watching on the pitch, and you have to sometimes separate how you're going to deal with it. So for me, I get more enjoyment, as sad as it is, as a football fan, I get more enjoyment doing fantasy football.
Yeah.
When I go to the games, I have that little child feeling. I'm at Emirates, or I'll go and visit the Highbury, and all those memories come back. And
I remember the first time we went, and you said, Apollo, you've invigorated life back into me being in the stadium. And since then, you've been a regular at the Emirates.
And I'll go and see games, but I don't stand and I don't like poor football. I don't like it, whether it's my club or any other club. And I can understand as frustrating as some decisions refs do, because refs don't protect players. You see a favorite player that he doesn't get the opportunities, doesn't get played, or he's misused, or a striker you believe in, he misses goals, or defender. So, the game can get to you, and it can push you over, and I can see the frustration. It's this Jota thing is.
It's incredible. And look, guys, when you see rival fans from Liverpool, rival Liverpool fans, Manchester United, Everton, Man City, they're fans. I know guys who are Everton fans in London who have taken a train to Anfield just to drop flowers. Yeah? Just to drop flowers. A good friend of mine, Frances Johnson, she's a former member. I've known her since she was for 30 years, since she was a little girl. And she's got children now. And one of her kids supports Liverpool. The others are Arsenal fans. And she just went there on a train today to turn up there just to watch the team, just to watch the team mourn their player. And just unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. The passion that has been shown all over has been immense. It really has. It's been immense. So I just to make sure that we can, as a community, and just hope that everyone this season, we don't know what's gonna happen. I spoke to a Liverpool fan today, who's actually my manager. My manager's a Liverpool fan. He said to me, no way, we're competing this year. He goes, that's broken us. It's broken us. And it kind of, and I said to him, no, maybe it might galvanize you. And he said, no, Apollo, it's broken us. And I thought about it. And I remember when Eduardo broke his leg and the effect it had on Arsenal when it killed their season. And that's when I kind of flipped and thought, oh, yeah, okay, I take your point. I see where you're coming from. But I feel bad for them, man. I feel so bad. This is life. And don't wish it on anybody. So, guys, cover off a few things very quickly. I'm just going through the things that I was supposed to catch up with you on the last month when I haven't been around. First thing is, on the screen here, you can see that Arsenal have released 20 players. So I'm not going to go through all the names. You can see them all on the screen. So those are all the players who have left the club. Chloe, Kelly, Thomas Partey, and Michael Asek, they're the ones whose contracts ran out. Chloe Kelly, as you know, the good news, she has re-signed with Arsenal, and the other two haven't. We're going to come on to the Thomas Partey charge, but before we do, again, let's just let me see if I can get to share my screen and then talk about you guys. From the fan community, from you guys, we have the polls, which you guys love. And the first poll, let me start from the bottom. The first poll, I said, which striker do you guys want? 82% of you said Gyökeres, and only 18% of you said Sesko. Yep. So that was a renown from the community. That wasn't even close. I then went on to say, who's been Arsenal's best player of the season? So essentially, who's your player of the season? You guys voted for Declan Rice, 57%. Then you said Thomas Partey, who was 17%. Dave came last at 13%, 14%. So I'm going to ask Vincey who's his player and why. But my player, guys, believe it or not, was the one that's last on this list, which is David Raya. So my reasons is because when I looked at Declan Rice, he had a phenomenal second part of the season, but in the first part of the season, he wasn't on it. He even came out and said that for the first 3.5, 4 months, he said he wasn't himself and he was putting in subpar performances. And as you guys know, this is player of the season, not player of the half season. And that's the reason why certain players didn't get my vote. I thought Thomas Partey was very close for me. David Raya just edged Partey for me. And the same goes with Gabriel. Obviously, Gabriel was injured for a good chunk of the end of the season, so I couldn't really give it to him because we didn't get a full season out of him as well. But David Raya, back-to-back Golden Glove awards, just phenomenal shot percentage, 71.4%, the second highest in the Premier League. And he's always been there. This makes, I think, on average of the last 3 seasons, he has the highest shot percentage saved in terms of XG. So he's been a phenomenal figure for Arsenal. And it's not one half of the season or part of the season. He's done it for the entirety of this season. And Vincey, he's made 5 double saves. They're on YouTube now. Like, sometimes goalkeepers rarely ever make a double save. And if they do, it's once in a season. This guy made 5 double saves, Vincey. He saves one shot, then he gets out. There was 2 instances where he saved it. Am I right? And then he's jumped back up and batted it on the other side of the goal. That's happened twice this season. I mean,
yeah, I think Raya has had moments of sheer brilliance this season. He's had moments where I think he's cost us, and I think his form in those situations hasn't been there. But I think it shows to you the caliber of goalkeeper that he is, where he performed the season before and come in and done what he's done this season. And we forget he was a top goalkeeper at Brentford as well. So I think we know the caliber of keeper Raya is. I'm a bit contrary to you in regards that if players are injured or they've had moments, it doesn't take them away from being there all season. It doesn't take them away from being considered as player of the season. You know, those names there are worthy mentions. I mean, personally, I think Thomas Partey's had. It's outrageous when you consider his best productive season in front of goal at the end of his contract. It just seems weird when you think about the years that we've had with Partey, with the injuries and so forth, and it's happened right now where he's played the best. It's outrageous when you think about it.
who was your Vincey? What was your choice?
I mean, I'm a renegade, so I look at all those names there, and I just say, you know what, we know what to expect from those guys. So
Before you answer though, I do want to say, I've talked to you guys about this before. I apologize. The YouTube algorithm has now shortened the polls from 5 to 4, so that leaves a lot of us short on what we're doing. A lot of the stuff. Sometimes I put polls, and you guys always ask for more names, and I agree with you. I just can't fit them in. So take for instance, Urian Timber is supposed to be on this list. He is supposed to be on this list. I just couldn't fit him on, and there's no conceivable way for me to do that. So I do apologize, but I'm just reading in the chat. There's some people that actually did go for Timber as well, and I don't doubt you at all. He was definitely supposed to be given a shout on that list. Go on, Vincey.
Yeah, I mean, I look and I think player of the season, and most people are going to turn around and say, Anthony, Vincey, you're absolutely crazy. But for what he did when no one expected, Miles Lewis-Skelly, for me, no one expected Miles Lewis-Skelly to do what he did. And his impact this season for me is why I would give him, I don't know if you have a young players of the season, but for me, without Lewis-Skelly, we have no season. I think we know what we expect from those 4 on this list here. And Raya's worthy. There, Declan Rice had a slow start, but he took over the midfield second half. Great performances against Real Madrid, and I think his goals kind of pushed that in that regard. Thomas Partey's been steady, but Skelly to do that for Arsenal and to do that for England, the guys come from nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And I think Arteta heavily relied on him. And it showed in how the season went that he really needed. Yes, he kind of tailed off a little towards the end in some games, but for a young player to do that, he's got my vote, because without him, I have no idea where this Arsenal team would have been. It's out there. But
I hear you.
I recognise Miles Lewis-Skelly. Huge.
Also, guys, go on, Vincey.
Yeah, it's a huge talent. When you think, and this is why I've always said in the forum, the moment I saw Miles Lewis-Skelly, I said to myself, he should be playing in a different position. I ignore the age because I look at the talent and what he's comfortable and content doing, and when he did what he did against Man City, that should show to us, actually, do you know what? The caliber of player that we have, he's not scared to perform, and he continued and he kicked on. So for me, it's like, I don't see age, I see ability. Are you prepared to do certain things in certain games? And that's why I like Saliba. When I looked at Saliba earlier, it's like, okay, this guy can fit into the mid, into defense and play. Gabriel, when I scattered him, just when we purchased him, he needed to sort certain parts of his games where he was jumping in, and I think Arteta really spoke to him. I think the beginning of last season, where he sat him out for a few games. And since then, he's probably outshone Saliba as the centre back. So it's. I like to see talent. I like to see players take the onus on themselves and do things differently to the norm within the team. And for me, Skelly is the guy's a baller, and I just hope his development this season, it doesn't go to his head. I think he takes it on board and grows, because he's not playing in his natural position. And that's something, if you see a player play like that and he's not playing his natural position, the future's bright.
I hear you. So Andrew says, I agree, Apollo. David Raya kept Arsenal in games. He really did. And assured less losses occurred. You know, everything capitulated in the end, to be honest. Defensive injuries, lack of goals, but he still had 12 clean sheets, which was joint top of the league. So he never let his levels drop. Thanks, 18, for that. Hit the like button, everybody. CJ said, your little rats hiding party away the little nonce. Right. No one's hiding about party. We're going to come on to party in a minute. We're just trying to go through housekeeping. And then I said to you guys, which player would you choose? And I said Eze, Mosquera, Hato, or Rodrigo. This shocked me. 53% of you guys said Eze, number one. Cam is just saying Gabriel or Timber for him as well for player of the season. 40% of you said Rodrigo. 6 said Mosquera, and none of you said Hato. Not one person. That's nuts. And even more surprising, I said you can choose one striker. 6% said Jokeris. 28 said Alvarez. What? I wasn't even going to put his name in. I just put his name in to make up the numbers.
I went to
Alvarez. It's like mad. And it's like 10% said Sesko and 5% said Watkins. There's still people out there, and that's our little tribute to Jota. There's still people out there that want Watkins. I would like to, if it's one of you guys in the chat, please come on board. Let's have a listen to you. Let's hear your thoughts. Emerson says, Apollo, we have Carlos Curta to be a Parma manager, as it was in the back room when we had Gabriel Heinzen as his replacement. Meta Ali, under 21's coach, has moved to Brentford. Yeah, there's a lot of that, but that's what happens when you're a good team, Emerson. Totally agree with you. When you are a good, solid team, people come in for your staff and players. I'm just a bit shocked that no one's coming for our players. Because, look, I want to earn money. And if that means we've got to sell some of our stars for 60, 70, 50 million, 40 million, we've hardly earned a penny this year in player sales. Like, we're out there looking like we're going to spend 250 million, like $250 million, and we hardly got any money in. So at some point, and again, I'm going to come into that point later on, I'm going to address that. We also need to earn money on player sales. Otherwise, it's going to cap what we can do. Glenn Wynn, big up to you, bro. I hope all is well. He said, hey, Paul, Vinci, hope as well. Lewis Skelly deserves mention. Yes, well done. Vinci gets his flowers for that, bro. That's why Vinci's my brother, man. Emerson says, yeah, Nathan Butler, he moved to a Swiss team. Why a Swiss team, though? I'm like, so you're telling me, like, no championship or Division 1 team wanted to come in for him? What was that? That was weird, bro. That was weird.
Do you think it's the money we're asking?
I think, and the thing is, I asked Emerson about this a year ago. It just doesn't have the quality. It just is. This quality is not there. I've seen it I've seen him play many times with the under 21s, and he was just filling a space. And every time, like Gary kept saying last season, we got to play him, we got to play him, we got to play him. But when you look at what Moreno scored 9 goals as a striker last season. And when you look at what Moreno's done, and it's not just that, it's the defensive play and everything else. Nathan Butler is too, he wouldn't have done it. And Arteta knew that. Arteta knew he wouldn't have been able to do a job. He just didn't have the quality for it.
So
and that's what it came down to.
So can I just ask you, so I know yourself and Gary and Emerson go to a lot of these games. I'm concerned that we have not produced a striker of worth for years. And I know we can mention Eddie, but even as good as Eddie was, when you see how we made use of his great under 21 record, we failed to really push on that in the Premiership. So my concern is, why are we struggling so much in producing a striker at Arsenal based on all the youngsters that come through our academy.
Yeah, and I think when I had this conversation with Emerson before, in next with like 10 prospects in this, and because we sold and look, I know Garfield's down there grinning his teeth. We sold Obi to Man United, and they actually played them a little bit. So we are producing them. It's kind of what happens on the back end of it. And your case, Vince, is it enough? No, it isn't. Because if you look at like Ethan Wanieri, Lewis Skelly, Dowman, I'll get rid of this. Sorry, I've just got something that's popped up on my screen. When we look at Marley Salmon, he's a defender. Josh Nichols, he's a defender. Jack Porter's a goalie. McNeil's a midfielder. Tommy Seiferd's a goalie. Braden Clark's a defender. Out of the top 10, that's nine players I mentioned. The only striker, the only forward player we have is Kalen Edwards. That's the only player. That's the only guy we've got that we can put in that front three. And that's not enough. So, look, I think that they're looking at that and trying to address it in different ways in terms of maybe trying to look at a 16, 17-year-old in another academy and then trying to bring that player forward. I think that that's what they're doing. But yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question, Vinci. Very, very good question. But unfortunately, Kalen Edwards is the guy everyone's going to be keeping their eye on in the under-21s next season. And I hope he really does well. Guys, let's talk about the Thomas Partey. And so I want to say a few things here. Vinci, again, was a moderator on the 101 forum as well. And we all took the stance that we need to shut it down quickly. When all of the stuff came out 3 years ago, and as I said, Vinci was a moderator on the channel, on the forum then, we took the decision as a group in the admin team to shut the party talk down. And the reason why is because in this cancel culture, you cannot make anybody guilty before they're proven guilty. It just wasn't going to work. We were not going to go through weeks and months and years of just trashing the player when nothing has been brought forward. There's no evidence or anything like that. And if I look back on it again, I believe we did the right thing. Yeah, to just shut that talk down. And the forum has been really good about it. We do filter stuff, but the forum have been very good in terms of let's wait and see. I think we sent one message out, didn't we, Vinci? We said, let's see and wait what happens. And then when we know, we'll deal with it. So the situation today came out where Partey is now being accused or responsible in a leading party for the context of rape. So what this means is that a case will be moved forward towards him and his party. And he left a message. Again, all of this you can see on our forum. For those of you guys who are not on our forum, the details in the link underneath this video. Now, as you're watching, it's in the description on YouTube. You can come and join us if you're not part of the forum. And what this means is that there's, again, two sides. The police have moved the case forward to accuse him. And Partey has come out and made a statement and saying he's not guilty and to defend himself. And he has every right to do that. So this is going to be a criminal case where Partey is accused of a crime or in a civil case, where Partey is either going to get done for the crime or he's going to be sued. Yeah, that's the two outcomes of these offences that took place between 2021 and 2022. Now, keeping all of you guys up to date, if you're not sure of what's happened, the allegations relate to 3 women who were reported various incidences between 2021 and 2022 where he's charged of 2 accounts of rape on one woman and 3 accounts of rape with a second woman. And the other was a count of sexual assault on a third woman. So that's what's happening, guys. That's why he's been brought to a case. And he will appear in the Westminster Magistrates on the 5th of August. Now, carefully reviewing the comprehensive file of the evidence, which is what they've done, the prosecutors I know have worked hard. I spoke to the guys in Arsenal today, my sources, and they said that the prosecutors have worked closely with the Metropolitan Police, and they carried out the investigation to review the evidence and advise on the appropriate charges. Arsenal were told about that yesterday, before everything was announced today. So as I said, from our stance, we can start to talk about it now because we're grown men, we're adults, we can have the conversation. But what we can't do is what me and Vincey, Michelle, Nay, Ebony, all of us, Gary on the moderators, we all talked about, the bashing and all of this stuff that was going on. And we won't accept any of that. Let's just be professional about it. He has not been proved guilty. I want to say that one more time, guys. He has not been proven guilty. He is a defendant and has the right to a fair trial. From our side on 101, from all of us here, the priority is to give him a fair trial and treat it as such. And it also means to provide support for the women who have come forward. As a community, that is our job. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to back the fact that he's going to get a fair trial and understand that there are 3 women who need support throughout this. So that's from my stance. That's all I want to say really about this. It's a shame Nabil was supposed to come on at 9:30 and it's 9:40 now, so maybe we won't see him. I know Gary wanted to say something about it, but he's not been well as well. A couple of you guys who have asked me about Tony, I've spoken to Tony, and Tony's doing well. I'm not going to obviously talk about his personal stuff or what's going on because that's for Tony. If he wants to talk to you guys, he will. But for now, Tony, like myself before the summer, Tony just needs some rest and to kick back. Yeah. So, give him the space. When he's ready to come back, he'll be back. So from my perspective, that's where I am with the Thomas Partey issue. Before I go to Vincey, right. Emerson is saying, is the one striker prospect we have has left. That's funny. Anakin has said innocent until proven guilty. That's 100% correct. If any of you guys have got your thoughts, I'd like to hear it. But that's where I am with Thomas Partey. Vincey, what's your thoughts? Where are you with this? Do you have an opinion, or you're going to wait and see, or what's the situation?
I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. I think without going into areas that we can't actually talk about, I think first of all, it's not a good look. What's today's date? The 4th of July that this has come out. Now, this is probably 10 days after we realized that Thomas Partey is not going to get a contract extension at Arsenal. And for me, I've always been concerned. I've been quite open on the forum. For 2 years, I said this, and I got a lot of backlash here on live and in the group. Because Arsenal, what I want to talk about is Arsenal's view of Thomas Partey as a player with his contract and how integral fans see Thomas Partey. With all of this stuff that's come out, we now have to look at the situation as how does this look from a PR perspective to Arsenal Football Club? Because we've known about this stuff. And I know there's been a large section of fans who have wanted Arsenal to address this situation and probably not even play him last season. Now, the problem I have with the Thomas Partey situation in his contract is that I don't think we've maximized and done well with these charges looping over and dealing with this situation. Because oh wow.
Andrew.
Wow, that's beautiful. That is
again, we'll wait till we get Tony on and then we can do all of that.
Yeah, I mean I'm not gonna lie, I'm disappointed with Arsenal Football Club in how they've handled Thomas Partey's contract.
Did you read my comment today on the forum about it?
I've read the comment, but this is the same thing I said 2 years ago. I knew this day would happen. I knew whether this charge was guilty or not, it was always going to happen. Thomas Partey's contract was always going to expire. Fans had an affinity to Thomas Partey because when we wanted him, we just had Xhaka in the midfield, and Thomas Partey was huge at Atletico Madrid. So these things Arsenal Football Club knew, and season after season, they played Thomas Partey in a process, in that single pivot. They've gone out and got Declan Rice, and we've had one season to see how Declan Rice and Thomas Partey can work with the midfield, whilst Thomas Partey's contract has been running down. So when I look and see, and I hear the rumours of what he's been asking for, the salary, it has been a no-brainer for me, sitting on my DFS couch for 2 years, that Arsenal have had to make a decision. And I am just absolutely shocked that we could be in this position where we've now decided to not give him a contract with this stuff hanging over. And now this is what it is. He's walked away free. It's not a case where, okay, we should be happy that we've got Zubimendi. Arsenal have invested in a player, and I thought this type of business has stopped at Arsenal, where we're having players walking away free. We've allowed Thomas. It's wasteful money, and it's this type of stuff has to stop. You mentioned about the fact that we need to be getting more money for players and sales. If the rumors were true and the Saudis were interested in Thomas Partey for a huge fee, it's only 12 months later now that he's walked away.
Yeah, and remember, I do want to reiterate that there was a 1-year extension on this contract, and that was a what they call a 50 extension, which is a 50-50. It means the team or the player has the right to extend that. And when that happens, it's normally a mutual agreement, which is the reason why what we normally see in the NFL is different. In the NFL, a year extension is never the player, it's always the team. So it's a team that says to you, we like to keep you for another year, and then you stay based on your salary. There is no restructure. Sometimes there is a restructure, but normally it's you play out that last extension year. But in football, it's different. Football, it can be the player side, it can be the team side. It really depends, Vincey, on how you draw the contract up. And in this situation, Partey's 5th year was an option from from both parties. But really, that was all based on him wanting 3 years and Arsenal offering 2. And obviously, we weren't willing to do that because, and I sent you guys the numbers, it didn't make sense to commit 40 million to a player, to an injury-prone player to play until he's 35. When you essentially, and I did the math for all of you guys on the forum, we've taken somebody who's a captain of a very good team. He's ranked the 5th best defensive player in the league, Norgard, and his 3-year contract in total is 16 million. So we've saved 21 million over 3 years, which we can now put that money to Gyökeres or well, from when I spoke to Colin today, he said a lot of that savings went towards Eze. They weren't really going to make a play for Eze, but now we've got that extra funds. They're looking to benefit from it. So you won't be able. There would be no Eze if you kept Partey. That's kind of essentially where they are with it. So I don't really have an issue with it.
So would you say,
boys, turn all your shit off for a minute.
Would you say? I mean, because we've had a season of injuries, we've had a season of midfield woes, and let's be real and honest. Norgard's name was not mentioned as a replacement for Partey's. So the stats and everything for Norgard at Brentford, it's not. I cannot digest those stats to say actually we're going to move forward now with Norgard as a replacement for either Jorginho or Partey, because we've seen how decimated our midfield can be. Now, and again, I'm going back on the point. All the stats that's been pushed out about Partey being the best player, and we can't play without Partey. You cannot imagine the club doing what they did in this situation. Because even if it was a 1-year extension, that's looking at Partey like you're looking at El Nene. Yeah. And what did they do after the 1-year extension that they gave to El Nene? He wasn't playing, and they gave him another year's extension. So this is, again, I'm looking at consistency and optics. You can't treat Partey with a 1-year extension the way you've used him over the 4 years. And again, this is the point I'm saying. When we go out for these big money signings, don't buoy them. I believe Arsenal buoyed Thomas Partey. You can't have a player play the way you played, give him these accolades, and treat him like, okay, we're going to give you a 1-year extension. Because other players will look at that, and I can see why they will not come to this great club, because we treat players like that.
Really? Okay. I didn't look at it that way. I
mean, for me, you boy Thomas Partey, you know, you've had him playing along Xhaka. Man's been injured left, right, and centre. He's one good season where he's performed.
I know.
And he's had these charges. You buoyed him.
Yeah, and it feels like Van Persie, innit? You get the guy finally to be fit for 1 year.
And it's not like he wanted to leave. You've turned around and said to him, nah, central midfield, you bought Rice, and actually, you know what? We can restrict the games that you play because we've got Zubimendi. You probably don't have to go out at right back, but you know what? No, we're not going to give you 3 years.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Gary, first of all, how are you, bro? It's really good to see you, man. How you doing?
Yes, Gary, man.
Gary might be delayed. And also, Gary looks like he's struggling with his internet connection as well. Nabil, how you doing? How you doing, bro?
You're all right, mate. I can hear you. I'm just getting my fan ready, bro, because it's so hot.
Yeah, you know what? I've got mine blowing over there. I hope you guys can't hear it. Sometimes if your fan is too powerful, then it really makes a noise and disrupts the scene.
The nights just get humid, don't they?
Yeah, they do, man. We're struggling. Gary, I said, how are you, bro?
I've never known it to get so hot. Hot and later as it goes. I'm good, man. I'm good. Sorry, I was just on the phone.
Telling the kids to come off the internet, free up the internet for you.
Cool down, Nabil. Cool down.
I don't think you can. I think my internet's playing up.
Yeah, you look like. Hey, Gary, listen, we gave you the summer to get a new internet installed.
Nabil, you looking swish, man.
Oh God.
Who are you with, Nabil? Which provider? Sorry, Nabil. Sorry, Gary. Who are you with?
No, I told Gary not to get the Tesco's one. I said, don't do Tesco's, bro.
You know, I had to end up getting the Eero. Is it Eero?
Really?
Those mesh things, and it's changed it because I'm with Virgin, and certain areas right next to it, I still don't get the speed that they give me.
So I've been with Virgin for 30 years when they were NTL and Cable and Wireless, and my internet, I have a 1 gig internet, and my internet's been flawless. I've never had any problems with it. And I've just recently changed to community fiber. So I'm paying half the price. In fact, I've got 6 months free, and I'm paying half of the price I was at Virgin. So that's why I eventually moved. I've still got 1 gig internet, but the difference is my extender isn't as fast upstairs as it was with Virgin. So where do you live, Vince? Community fiber's not in your area.
No, man,
I'm in London.
I'm in the bush, man. I'm in the bush, man.
Yeah, man. So I think Gary can get community fiber. I think
Andrew, you're a funny guy.
It was Andrew's killing me. So first of all, Gary, how are you, man? How's things with you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. Just doing whatever I'm doing, which is not a lot. Arguing with Nabil on Facebook most of the time. But
hey,
no, I'm all right.
Hey,
right.
Nabil doesn't argue on Facebook. He discusses.
But you're getting healthy as well, Gary. That's the main thing, because you've done well, which is good to see, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm all right. My back's still a bit dodgy, but I'm now suffering with a mild heart condition. So my heart's not receiving enough oxygen. So I've got to go further tests at St. Bart's in Central and the come.
I hear you, man. A lot of us are going through it.
I need to stop vaping.
Yeah, a lot of us are going through it at the moment. We have talked about Jota's death, and we're just finishing on the conversation on Thomas Partey. So I've just made it clear what the charges are. I've also made it clear that he's not guilty, and that he deserves a fair day to defend himself, and that we should support the 3 women. I talked about what he's been charged about, what for, how it affects the women, and the issues there. So basically, just saying to the community, Thomas has the right to defend himself. He is not guilty. So there's no need for anyone to go on witch hunts and say, I knew it, or all of this stuff. He has still come out and said he's not guilty, so he deserves his day in court. But we also need to understand that there's 3 women who need to be supported through this as well. So as a community, we all have to do our due diligence. But your overall thought on it, Gary, is?
Yeah, so obviously this all come about, was it a couple of years ago, wasn't it, when we first about it? I think if the club knew that there was it was going to go the way it was going to go, I don't think they would have. I think they would have parted ways with him a lot sooner. I can't see any reason they would have kept him around if they thought there was going to a contract, because that would have been a total disaster. Obviously, the guy is saying he's innocent until it's proven in the court of law that he's been found guilty. Then you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose, until the judge says otherwise. I haven't really read too much into the accusations from 3 women, so I can't really comment on that.
And as I said to Vincey, it's not about. Sorry, Gary, finish.
We have seen cases like this, so you know what the truth is. The only people that know the truth are the people that are involved. So benefit of the doubt until a judge says otherwise for me. But I don't think the club have done anything wrong in keeping Oldham gathered. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, and I was answering some questions on the forum today.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years to bring the. I mean, that's a lot of evidence they must have, so who knows?
Yeah, Gary, we're having a lot of problems with your internet. You're going in and out. We can't really catch what you're saying, if I'm honest. Okay, now it's a little bit better. So as I said, guys, I have spoken to a few guys in the forum who have asked me the consensus question from a lot of people is, why didn't Arsenal suspend him? And what you have to understand, guys, is there's a few things here. Number one, there's nothing for them to suspend him for because there's been no charges. That's number one. Number two, any initial issue that happens outside of the football club is Thomas Partey's personal whatever, yeah? If the allegations were against somebody in the club, as in an Arsenal member of staff, if there's a woman there, then it would have been treated with the highest, utmost respect, yeah? And they would have come down on him. He would not be at Arsenal Football Club if that was the case. But this is a situation where they have tried to play their hand. But for me, I think that there's a grey line there. They knew what was going on. They knew what was happening. And at the same time, they made the decision to offer him a new contract or an extension. When they could have just really sold the player or done something else and said, look, we understand this is going on in your personal life. We don't want nothing to do with it. We don't want it to, because for us, it's a media distraction. And as a professional football club, you have to do everything you can to ensure that your club is not the center of these discussions in the media. It's not good for your brand, for your name, for your sponsors, or anything like that. And so that's where I think Arsenal should have done things differently. Not so much on the charges, but actually on the player, the ethics. I mean, look. When Ozil made his comments, he was absolutely reprimanded, benched, and thrown to the wolves. And all he done was, not just that, but even Electronic Arts in FIFA took him out the game. Imagine that. They took him out just for making comments. Arteta said, no, you're on the bench, bro. We don't want your sorts around here. So that's where the scales don't work for me at the moment. That's where I kind of have an issue. Vincey?
Oh, Apollo, can I ask you, do you think last year Arsenal Football Club knew they were going to offer Partey a 1-year extension or treat him like they were going to, because it's this, you mentioned earlier that at this stage Arsenal treat players and give them a 1-year option.
Yeah, but that was decided 4 years ago when he signed the initial contract. It was 4-year with a 5th-year option. So the option was always there. It was not a thing where they just decided that they were going to do it. They did it 4 years ago because they thought this guy's going to be 32 after 4 years. He'll probably be one of our best players. So let's just cover our bases to make sure that we have at least going to keep him for another year. And so obviously it's not panned out. And they didn't even flinch.
And this is why I say I know some people think 3 years doesn't make financial sense.
Yeah.
But Arsenal have money now. So it's not about the financial sense. It's about on the pitch. How does it make sense on the pitch? And a 3-year contract makes sense on the pitch because this process that we were supposed to have gone through is done. It's failed on the pitch, and we're now in a new direction. And Thomas Partey was a huge part of it, but he's being viewed now as, well, a castaway when he shouldn't be, because he's just finished his best season. So this is why I have a huge problem with how we've got to where we are this season, knowing that 2 years ago this problem was always going to be here. These charges were always going to be addressed at some point. His contract was always going to run out, and his contract needed to be addressed.
Nabil, before we move on, is there anything that, let me take this off the screen is there anything that you wanted to say about Thomas Partey or Jota's death? Because those are the subjects you've missed.
Jota's death is so sad. So sad. Just a really likable guy. And I tell you what, these cars, these supercars are very dangerous. You really got to know what you're doing. We heard he was trying to overtake, and the tire blew out, and that sent him into the central reservation and stuff. And I think it burst into flames or something like that. But it's not uncommon, especially with the Lambos. Cars like Lambos, those sort of cars, they frighten me. I won't go higher than a Porsche 911. Those Lambos and stuff like that, they frighten the life out of me. McLaren's this, but yeah. So I saw the post and I just sent condolences to his family because it's sad. But with regards to Thomas Partey, oh gosh, you know something? I think we need to brace ourselves, because we're not going to hear the last of this for a long time. I'd love it that they just disassociate us, because he's not an Arsenal player now. He was an Arsenal player while he was under investigation. While he's under investigation, what do you expect us to do?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I said to those guys, on one hand, the club had nothing to. He wasn't charged. He was not committed of a crime. So if he's not committed of a crime and there's no evidence, what do you expect the club to do?
Yeah, go on.
But at the same time, which is what I just said to Vincey, after what Ozil went through when he made those comments, and everyone worldwide, everyone just went crazy. FIFA took him out the game. It was just pandemonium what was going on, and it's just like, look how you treat Muslims. The man just made one comment, and he was treated like a leper. He was treated like
and to be fair, nowadays, like players, pop stars, celebrities, they're doing the same things that Ozil was doing. They're saying the same thing that Ozil was saying, exactly the same way. It's nothing really far left that he was saying. But I was saying to Michelle on one of those threads, like someone was saying, while he was being investigated, they're saying he should have been suspended, maybe suspended with pay or without pay. And then if he's not charged, you give him back his money. But on the downside to that, that's a 3-year investigation. As a football player, as a sports person, not performing at the top level for 3 years, you're done.
Yeah.
You're never coming back on that same platform.
That's right.
You're not coming back on that same platform. So imagine you're coming back now 3 years later, being cleared of all charges, but you killed my career.
Yeah.
It don't work like that. It don't work like that. You can't suspend him. He's got, you've got to stick with him, to be fair, until, like I said, if he's charged, you may want to do something about it, or you may want to find out how the charge goes.
I mean, look, we've got to look at we've got to in context, right? Not a lot of people actually follow sports worldwide. We have the benefit of being able to understand sports worldwide. We know what happens in Africa, South America, America. We follow everything, and so we know that there's Ja Morant who had a gun on a plane, snuck a gun on a plane, and was waving it all around the streets and all of that. We know that there was a player called Michael Vick actually using dogs to fight in illegal.
Yeah.
He had paid. Let's not act like the level.
I'm back. I reset my internet. Can you hear me?
Arsenal, there's two things there. One, they was within their rights because nothing was charged. Nothing. So by their accounts, fine. But there's a thin line between that because of what you did with Ozil. You told me with the Ozil situation that you thought that your brand was good enough that you didn't want your name smeared. And Ozil didn't smear you. He was sticking up for his religion and what he felt was right. But you felt that you was smeared because of your brand. You thought, oh, we're Arsenal. We don't want your sorts around here. So if that's what your levels were, how is it that this guy was? What's going on here? Where's the scales?
I tell you what, they dealt with. This is the thing, and this is why I'm really kind of digging my heels in here. They dealt with Ozil bad. They dealt with Ozil badly.
Yeah.
But they dealt with this Thomas Partey situation correctly. I think,
Yeah.
and I'm like I said, I'm bracing myself because the fans and the club have done nothing wrong. Why would we stop supporting Thomas Partey when he's being accused, especially just after Mendy, on the back of Mendy? Why would we stop supporting him on the back of allegations?
Yeah,
Like,
he's not even guilty. You can't do anything with allegations. You know, you could give me an allegation, but unless you prove to me, unless you have physical proof that I'm guilty of a crime.
And you know what's crazy? A day after, Puff Daddy got found not guilty of those main things. Look, literally a day or two after, it just goes to show you can't follow a charge. You have to wait for the outcome.
That's right. That's right. 100%. We've had our say on the party situation and Jota, and right now let's talk about Arsenal signings. So, as you guys know, we have Kepa, Zubimendi, and Norgard. Some of them you won't find on the website, and that's for various reasons. But I can assure you, from my sources, medicals and photos sessions have been done with all three players. They essentially are Arsenal players at the moment. They're just waiting for certain things to be finalized, where their holidays as well. Like, take for instance, Zubimendi is actually on his holiday break right now. So there's certain things that and formalities that they're waiting for before you see it light up on Arsenal's website. So for those of you guys like Ebony who don't believe nothing until you see it on their website, then you're gonna have to wait a little bit more. But on my side, guys, I just want to say my piece before I let you guys go in. I think that these are very good crude signings. For all the reasons that we've been asking for. We've never really had a good backup goalkeeper. We've never, ever had a good backup central midfielder. Ever. Like, El Nene was your best. And over the hill, Jorginho was your best. That's the best you ever had. So you've got somebody now who's like rated the 5th best defender in the league in terms of duels, tackles, and recoveries. He's a dog. Yeah. And we know that because we know how tough it is when we play them. And all I'm saying is I'm happy he didn't go to Spurs. Yeah, because that would have been a problem in itself. Yeah. We've been able to handle man like Basuma. Man like Basuma can't even touch. I remember when Cranky, all of us were raving about Basuma, and as soon as he went over to that lot over there, yeah, we just blast him up. Yeah, we just blaze him up every game. So I do want to say, in regards to Kepa, look, guys, Kepa, he won 3 back-to-back Man of the Match awards, clean sheets against Crystal Palace, Liverpool, and Fulham, 3 very good teams. Finished the season with the 3rd best save percentage in the league. Now, you know I'm a big thing on stats, guys. Save percentage is crucial because that's your XG. That's how you've helped your team win or lose. And he is the 3rd highest in shots based of expected goals against, which means he stops a lot of stuff. Yeah, he stops a lot. Raya, by the way, is ranked is number 2, and Pope is number 1. So we've got some real good quality there. I'm really happy with him. Norgard, again, modern day anchored player. There's no doubt that he can provide us high levels in the backup role. And it offers Arteta more options as well, that he doesn't have to be a backup. If you want to rest Zubimendi against Leicester or whatever, I know Leicester's been relegated, isn't it? So let's say Burnley, because they're coming up. If there's teams that you feel you don't need your first 11, you can throw him in and think nothing of it. And that's what Arteta's been lacking. Arteta's been lacking the trust in those players on the bench. He just doesn't trust them. But this guy, he offers quality depth. He's in the top 5 of tackle, break-up play, interceptions, blocks, and aerial duels. He can do a job. He's in the upper echelon of what players need to be in this league. Really good player we've got there. And then the last for me is Zubimendi. He's consistent, intelligent out of possession, actually, in terms of knowing where the build-up play goes. He won't lead the league in tackles. He's not that type of guy. He won't do all of that. But he'll be near the top in interceptions because he reads the game so well. He knows where it's developing. His duel percentage is really high. His positioning is exceptional. He's one of the best in Europe at knowing where to be. They've compared them to Iniesta and all them players in Spain. They love him. If you look at his reputation in the Spanish national team, like he's their man, he's their cog. When you talk about Spanish national team, and they've achieved a lot, the first player that comes to mind is Zubimendi. And he's strong in the air. He just gives that back line a dependable shield. And I like his play as well. He's, I talk about party in transition. And this guy, he's a long ball merchant as well. He can put it on a sixpence. He can do that for you. That's the only thing. Like Declan is a magician when it comes to defensive tackling, duels, aerial duels, things that, recoveries. Declan is your top guy. But if there's one flaw in Declan's game is he can't pass the ball. He can't pass. That's the only flaw. That's why he can't transition.
He can pass, but he's basic. He's
basic.
He's not cultured like Zubimendi or Partey.
Yeah.
The man is super cultured.
And then this guy, he's timing and the weight he puts on the ball and the way he fires forwards quickly in movement. He reads the game exceptionally well. Great distribution. He's the one that's closely been compared to Rodri. So I've always said Arteta and Rodri, Partey and Rodri is not really a comparison because they're two very different. Very, very, very different players. Rodri more compares with Declan Rice, but Zubimendi is a Rodri. That's why Man City wanted him. That's why they didn't want Liverpool to get him. He's probably the most similar player to Rodri in the world right now. In terms of a 4, in terms of not really want to play at 8, but he can play the pivot and the anchor. He can register at the double pivot, which is Mumby Poy's forte. I think Tom Aston and me have been having this discussion. We think that he's going to try Zubimendi in the single pivot, which we're the only team that plays that, remember, because Thomas Partey is that good. Yeah, he's that guy. And I think they're going to try and play Zubimendi there. And if it doesn't work out, they'll switch him in the double, which we don't want. We don't want that. Why? Because it stops Declan Rice getting forward. It puts Declan deeper into more of a tomb, which is kind of how he worked with Souček at West Ham. We don't want that. We want an advanced 8 who can get into the box and be that extra man. That's what we want. And Partey allowed you to do that in a single pivot. If you're now playing 2-man in the middle, that 2-man cog, it's a different type of game. Let me go. Gary, is your internet connection all right now?
Yeah, I rebooted it all. I'm back in the room.
Good. Your thoughts on Kepa, Zubimendi, and Norgard, mate?
He's got a delay.
Yeah, happy with the signings so far. I didn't really understand the Norgard one in the beginning until I looked at certain facts and figures. Considering that Spurs have quoted 45 million for him, and we've got him for roughly about 13 million. I think that's a really good piece of business. Kepa was outstanding for Bournemouth. Big reason why they done so well last year. Excellent number 2 goalkeeper. And Zubimendi, if he can hit the ground running and acclimatise to the Premier League quickly, I think he could be a very, very good signing. I think he brings ball play that maybe Partey didn't. Partey was more transition, turning out and playing these little balls in between the lines, whereas Zubimendi's more 30, 40, 50 yards over the top on a sixpence type thing. So, yeah, can't complain with these signings so far. Hopefully we can get the striker, and I'm going to say Eze. Don't care about left winger. I know Nabil's in the left winger spot. I don't think Rodrigo's a good fit. I just got a feeling about this guy. I just don't think he would be a good signing. I'm in the Eze camp.
Yeah, we're going to come on to them in a minute. So we're going to talk about these guys in a minute. We're going to talk about those guys in a minute. But now let's just focus on these 3. Nabil, what's your thoughts on Kepa, Zubimendi, and Norgard?
Well, I'm kind of glad you split it up, because you have to split it up to really put it in perspective. See, what
It's like gold, silver, and bronze, isn't it?
you got to split it up, and Arteta's done that. I mean, last year he spoke a lot about squad depth and getting caught out. You can get caught out when you ain't got the right squad depth, right? So, I mean, when you look at Kepa as a backup goalkeeper, you know, really, like I said, when you look at it, this three, you talk about signing players to improve you. These signings don't improve you. They keep you exactly where you are, but very strong, right? Because Raya is still going to be in goal. But the difference is now, if you don't have Raya, you're not losing nothing. You're going to get a very good goalkeeper. He wasn't that price tag for nothing. You know he's a really good goalkeeper. So it's a good signing when you're looking at the backup thing. Zubimendi is a bit different. He's a bit different. And to be fair, as much as it's kind of anticlimax after such a long drawn out scenario, a long drawn out saga, you've got to be excited about Mendy, because with Thomas Partey, his skill is that anti-press. You can't press Thomas Partey. Press him at your own peril. Yeah, you try to press him. There's videos all over YouTube. You press him and he'll just give you the slip, leave you on your ass, and make the right pass out. There is, I mean, people talk about Rodri, but for me, there's only one player who can do that apart from Partey, and that's Zubimendi. Yeah. But he doesn't just do that. He doesn't just, because when you saw Rice, when we lost Thomas Partey, and then we saw Rice dropping into that 6, that was and we had no Gabby. We only had Saliba. We was absolutely rogered, because Saliba can't take the ball out. He can't pass the ball out like Gabriel, and Rice can't do it like Partey. And we was absolutely hamstrung. We had to get Odegaard dropping deep to do it, and not even he could do it like Partey. The way Partey drops deep and gets that ball out, the anti-press, the only person who could do that, as far as I can see, not even Rodri, is Zubimendi. And I think that's why Arteta just would not let that go, because he knew the way he plays, he's crucial. But like you said, he's got so much more to his game. He can carry that. He can get in the box. He can sprint it. He can ping it on a 60 yard. And he's young. So it's a brilliant signing in that sense. And then you've got Norgard. Well, you're going to need him because Partey's gone. Jorginho's gone. So, but you're not getting another Zubimendi. Let's have it right. You're not getting another Rice.
Big up to Tony. Sorry, Nabil. Big up to Tony. Big up to Tony. Go on, Nabil.
Yes, Tony. Nice. So you're not going to get another. You're not going to get another Rice. You're not going to get another Rodri. You got. This is when it comes. You got to just get a really decent backup player. He may sit on that bench for 90-80% of the season, Premier League season, or Champions League season. But when he's called upon, you want him to be like a Kivior. So fair play. Good. Those three, no complaints. But I'm just going to be a grumpy old man, and let's just say it's a good thing we've got the second part coming up, because these signings, they do not improve us. They don't make us first place contenders. They just keep us robustly firm in second. So
I agree, and you know, I like that comment, Nabil, because it puts us back where we were when we got rid of Smith Rowe and Nketiah and Nelson and all that. You know, we lost depth and played this whole season without that. So these signings just put us back to where we were before last year. So before I go to Vincey, bless up to Tony and bless up to Cranky.
Except Zubimendi, because Zubimendi is going straight into that first team, and I think I'm going to put my hat on it and say he's going to be better than Partey. He will be better.
And he'll most likely win the next World Cup as well with that team, with his national team. He'll probably be a World Cup winner. Gyökeres is not my first choice.
Statement, Nabil. That's a massive
statement.
To say that
he's 20. He's young. He's young. You got to look at.
I literally hope that he comes.
You have to look at players and their development arch, how they are, where they were, where they look like they're going. Partey's hit his peak at 30-something. We saw the best of Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
Zubimendi is just a little bit below him, and he's 26. So you've got to say, by the time that guy is 28, he's going to pass Partey.
We're going to have him for his prime. We're going to have him for his prime.
I can see the logic of your thinking. I can definitely see the logic of your thinking.
That's why Arteta wouldn't let him go. It's like he had a bit in his mouth. There's no, we can't, like, we have to have him. If we're going to play the way Arteta plays, we have to have him. No one else can do it.
Cam says, Gyökeres not my first choice, but I don't think age is an issue. He's just entering his prime physically. He's sound. No reason he can't carry on at that level for 4 or 5 years. Then he says, so when Sesko's not showing any signs of wanting to come to the club, can't do anything. We might regret it later, but not the club's fault. They've been chasing him for 2 years, and not just that, bro. They wanted 45 million for him last year, and they gave us the go ahead. They said, Arsenal, go on, talk to him personal terms. And then Sesko was the one that said, you know what, let me stay another year, get a little bit more established, because he knew he was going to be behind Havertz. So that was his choice. But the team said 45 million. And then what's happened in that time is he hasn't really broken out. 13 goals in 33 games is not a breakout season. I'm sorry, guys, it's not. It puts him middle of the park. So you're just paying for potential. But they've had the new president regime under IB Leipzig. And the new guy's come in, and he's got a mouth on him, hasn't he? He's got a mouth on him talking about Kuna going for 70, 60, Embremo 70 million. And because of that, he's like, well, if they're going for that money, what's my guy worth? So, no. So, and it's not just Arsenal. No team is going to buy him. Yeah, City ain't going to buy him. They've got a striker. Liverpool might keep Darwin Núñez. Because of what's happened with Jota, I don't see them selling Núñez now. Chelsea have just bought Pedro. So where's the market for who's got 90 million to spend on Sesko?
What, pounds?
Shut up.
Pounds.
Yeah, 90 million euros. Yeah. No one's got that money. No one's got that money. So he's staying. And that man, they ain't even in the Champions League anymore. So I don't even know what's going on there.
Yeah,
and
this is the thing. Another thing as well, like a part of the transfer business, you really got to look at the player's mindset, the psychology behind the player. Like I fell out of love with that Nico Williams guy. I fell out of love with him. I like him as a player, but I said his head's not screwed on. I
warned you about him a year ago, innit?
his head's not screwed on. You don't want that sort of player. Sesko's showing me the same sort of thing. I'm looking at him and I'm saying the way we play, this guy will bang. He will bang. I'm looking at him and saying, he will bang. But you know what? I'm liking Djokovic's attitude. He to me is like the sort of player that I'm saying, you know what? I'll sign him, man, because I reckon you can depend on him.
To me. No, I think if a player turned around to me and said, "Oh, but I'm going to be second fiddle to that guy over there," I don't want that player at the club. I want the player that's going to say, "I'm going to come. I don't care who's in front of me, because give me a few months, I will take that guy's place." That's the mindset that you need going forward when you're signing these players. They've got to want to come and play for Arsenal. They're not worried about who else is in the team, whether it's Saka, whether it's Odegaard, whether it's Havertz, whether it's David Raya.
Or don't say nothing.
Take that place in that first 11.
Yeah. Well, don't say nothing. If you're going to speak, you've got to speak in support. You can't speak against the club or shade us in any way.
Yeah. Vincey, what are your thoughts on Kepa, Zubimendi and Norgard?
Well, I just want to say first of all, we've had decent backups. We've had Martinez. Yeah, we've had Ramsdale. We've had goalkeepers who are decent, and the manager has chose to play them the way he played. So bringing in Kepa at 5 million doesn't fill me with anything, period. Because what he did at Brentford, he left Chelsea. He was the number one goalkeeper at Chelsea. And he's down on loan. So I see him as a backup at 5 million. I'm not going to get excited about it. It's a financial plus for Arsenal getting him. But my question is, and I've mentioned this before in regards to the young strikers at Arsenal, is why can't Arsenal go out and get a prime young English striker in their academy and groom him? How many goalkeepers has Arteta had or have Arsenal had over a period of time?
8.
I mean,
8.
Ray is the number one. Yeah, we can all say that. But even if he had a complimentary number one goalkeeper, he's not going to rotate. We can say that actually Arteta, he's got the option. He's not even going to do it.
I don't know. I mean, he's got the option to do it now because none of them have been good enough.
They've been good
He
enough.
actually-
Ramsdale was good enough. He didn't do
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Who?
Martinez
Who?
was good enough. Ramsdale.
Nah, it's a different ball game, bro.
I know,
You
but
play-
the thing is, he's shown traits before where he's had Ramsdale. All of us were here were raving about Ramsdale before while Ray was down at Brentford.
Well,
Yeah,
actually, me and Cranky weren't raving about Ramsdale. I was, especially when you looked at those games like the Southampton and Bournemouth game when he was giving goals away after 90
Yes, but
seconds.
hold on. Whoa.
Yeah, I weren't.
Apollo,
I weren't.
you're looking at the mistakes
His
he
days were
made.
done from
You're
then.
looking at the mistakes he made, but you're not looking at the games that he kept us in with world-class
Exactly.
saves.
His
Yeah, but
first
listen,
You
season-
can't
listen,
just
Vinny.
he messed up against Southampton when
But
at
Gary-
Liverpool he's made 4 world-class saves.
Vinny,
and kept us in the game.
Vincey,
Gary, you guys
Gary,
have known me long enough to know.
it's not even
that-
about that. It's not even about Apollo's touching on it, but it's not even about that. And I learned the hard way because I was Team Ramsdale all the way. I was bitter when they dropped him for Raya. I was very upset. But I learned that it's the way Raya plays football. Forget about the mistakes.
Yeah,
Forget about the saves. When
Yeah.
he steps up and he's playing literally rush goalkeeper,
Yeah.
Ramsdale cannot do that.
You
Period.
can't do it, mate.
No,
He
It-
can't do it to save
I
his
don't
life.
listen.
And the
I'm
thing
not
is,
gonna argue,
we've had.
I'm not going to argue that point, but Vincey has a valid point in what he's saying.
Yeah,
He has, but what I'm saying is, my
Listen,
stance is, I don't judge a goalkeeper on saves because saves is only a third of what that goalkeeper does. Yeah, the game has changed. This isn't
in our team, yeah.
1970 anymore. You've got to be doing more than just say, because then if you're telling me he's a good shot stopper, you're putting him in the same light as Leno. That's essentially what you're doing. It needs to be more. You need to be a commander and
I think
manage
Ramsdale had a bit
that
more
back
to him
line.
than Leno.
And when you look at the fact that what was Leno's biggest what was Ramsdale's biggest weakness? I used to say to you every week, Gary. I said to you, in set pieces, he's planted on his line. Didn't I used to say that to you?
Crosses.
And then
He
Raya
weren't-
leads
he weren't devastatingly bad. I mean,
and then Raya leads Europe in coming out on crosses. 14.2 crosses per game, more than any player in Europe. And the guy who's second to him, which is Neuer, the German national goalkeeper, has 8. So the difference is like a factor of 6 more times you're coming off your line. And Arteta actually said, it wasn't Arteta, it was Nicholas Jova. He said, it's a shame some people can't see what
you can
Raya
see
does
it all-
under
when
the
it- when it's
covers
all-
because
when push comes
he
to shove,
stops us from being in trouble.
You can see it all. Now we can see it all.
But
But Ramsdale would have been a solid number 2
and
no,
for cup games
And what-
and stuff
no.
like that.
he can't.
what
he
I want to
can't.
say
Not
is
me.
this.
That's the
What I want
point.
to say is
So
this.
Vinci's got a point in what he's saying, and I can understand the point that you and the Bill are saying about how
Vinci.
Raya's changed
Vinci.
the
All I'm saying
goalkeeping. Or
when they're looking at a
move
number
the
two,
goalpost, or whatever you want to call it.
All right, let's go back to Vincey because this is Vincey's time now. Vincey.
So no, Bill. Go on. So you're saying?
all I'm saying is that when you're looking at a number 2 for us, shot stopping is half the game. And I tell you what, I think the ball at his feet, playing football like a sweeper defender, I think to Arteta that's even more important than the shot stopping part of it because he's going to be doing it so much. It's part of our game.
What I'll say is when you look at a number 2, we're going to look at this player coming in the League Cup and the FA Cup. Okay, so and the players that he's going to be playing in front. I don't see him as a backup. I see whether he's capable of doing the business. And if he doesn't do the business, whether it's at 5 mil, 30 mil, we got a problem. I'm not inspired by Kepa.
Yeah.
I'm not inspired because I don't have faith that Arteta is going to use him as a rotation, period. He just hasn't. And I'm not going to give flowers in that department. And going on about, I understand about Raya in what he has been for Arsenal, but Donnarumma's a goalkeeper. Raya,
He's the best goalie in the world, bro.
Donnarumma. So it's like I'm gonna be real. When we're talking about in Europe, I think we need to be respectful and give Raya his flowers for Spain. But in Europe, let's be real, man. Donnarumma, let's stop.
And they're not on
He's
the
the
squad.
best goalie.
He's
Let's
the,
be
I mean,
Best
come on.
goalie in the world.
You know what I mean? So
And he's young. He's
That's-
young. He's young, and
he's been young
giant.
from time. So
He's a giant.
yeah. And when it comes to
Absolute giant.
penalties,
Mm.
it's so you know what, Kepa, I can't talk about him. I need to see him leak up, and I look forward to getting out in Emirates and seeing him. As for Zubimendi, I think, Nabil, you're right. I think you've hit it on the head. Again, Arsenal fans, we fall in love with players. We knew who Thomas Partey was at Atletico Madrid. We were thirsty. You know what I mean? We're like, please, sir, can we have some more in midfield? And we got Thomas Partey, and we fell in love with him, and we could see nothing else. But Zubimendi is a player. And also, being a player, you've got to be surrounded by class players, and he has that at Spain. So I'm in no doubt about his talent and what he can bring to this midfield. It's whether or not we can play the football that's going to allow him to do it consistently. It's a new league, yeah. Give him time, but that talent, as Nabil said, is there, and we've got that caliber player in his prime. So yes, the ceiling is there. I'm excited about Zubimendi. As for Norgard, come on now. Again, I'm talking about the manager and the
backups.
And I'm not ignoring it. I'm just not ignoring it because you say he's got all these stats at Brentford. We've had midfielders who's at stats at previous clubs. Jorginho had stats. He was sitting on the bench. Yeah, Arteta didn't use him. And you can't say that we haven't had players on the bench that Arteta's had the option to use, and he's hasn't used them. So I'm not going to give those accolades to these players to say, okay, well, you know, I'm going to be excited to see Norgard coming to the team, because when we had injuries and the midfield dynamic has been impacted, which it will, yeah, I don't want to be hearing Norgard stats top 5 in here and we're struggling to perform and break down teams.
Okay, but as well, it's numbers. It's a numbers game, because you do need to have at least 26 players to have a decent squad to challenge for a title. And I'll tell you what, because I think if it was me, right, if I'm playing some Premiership game, Premier League games, some real title deciding games, I'm not going to play Norgard. I might have to drop Rice back deep. You know, if I ain't got Zubimendi, I might have to drop Rice back deep and then bring in Mourinho. You know, it's not always going to be like, you know, like
I personally think Mourinho is going to play ahead of Norgard.
Yeah, he will. I reckon he will.
And that's the point. That's the show. When you look at that signing, I'm putting Norgard like he's out of frame.
Yeah,
he's out of frame.
But you never know. You might just
but
need
if
it.
you look at it from the point of view that last season, if you look at it from the point of view that last season, when Jorginho came into games, it was clear that his legs had gone and he couldn't do the running. So as a backup, you need to be able to not weaken the team so much. So Jorginho, I mean, we saw plenty of games where he just couldn't keep up. The play was gone and he was like 3 miles behind. Norgard is not going to give you that. Norgard's going to be better than that. So the drop-off between Norgard and Jorginho is going to be better for us, no?
But Gary, us as fans on this panelist talked about that the year before we gave Jorginho a contract. So I look at that and I think, you're not telling me it's something else new. But Arsenal gave him an extended contract when we wanted the area in midfield.
Yeah, but
you can't say all of a sudden
the contract that we. Yeah, but the contract that we gave Jorginho was more based around the fact of what he brought to the team in the dressing room and when he was on the pitch and when he was on the sideline doing the job of Arteta as a substitute, telling players go here, go there, go here, go there. So there's a lot more to a squad than just coming in and playing the game. So if you've got a Jorginho who's probably very popular in the dressing room, is very clever when he plays, he can get into the squad when he's on the pitch and also when he's on the sideline. Because Arteta won't go down to the corner flag and telling players what to do.
Where does that leave us now? Where does that leave us now where does that leave us now with Partey gone, Jorginho gone, and you're talking about somebody on the sidelines?
We're good. I think we're good. I don't think that's a worry. I tell you what, I don't think that's a worry. We got Mourinho, we got Rice, we got Zubimendi. These guys are in their prime. They're experienced. Fair enough. They're not like the ball wingers like Partey, maybe, but there's a lot there. I wouldn't worry about it. Like I said, you need 4 players that can do that position, and Norgard's your last choice. But you need to have those kind of numbers. You need at least 26 going into a competitive season like this. At least 26.
Yeah, and I believe having 26 with variations with a manager who is prepared to change tactics, because that's where your 26 comes into play. Because there's no point. You can make a substitution like for like, and you're losing the game, and the player you're bringing on is similar, and you're not changing the game. And you're just saying, well, we've got a squad of 26. Yeah. We need a squad of 26 where we're going to be able to have a plan B and a plan C.
I don't want to rush into the next part, but that's why Eze is interesting. Because again, you're not looking at.
We can go into it. We can go in the next part. We can go.
You're not looking at Norgard so much. Norgard is one of those players where it's almost like a last resort, but it's a strong last resort. You're not
right, guys.
For it. You're not weakened for it. You know?
So we've gone through our gold. Now let's go through our silver. So I'm going to do incoming players, and then I'm going to look at the bronze.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to look at the bronze. So at the moment, let's do incoming players. But before I do that, a couple of you fill in the missing blanks is taking us to the title. Who is that? Andre Berta. Andre Berta. That's
is that the new song, Cam? Is that the new song?
It is Andre Berta, isn't it? Berta, yes, it is. Yeah. It is. All right, okay. That's Andre Berta. All right, and I've got another one up here. Apollo, can you give us a 10 rating, how close our signings are? I can do that with these guys. I don't like giving away, obviously, I can't. So some of the stuff I talked to about the panelists, but I don't really like sort of going all out because that's just not professional of me to do. But I will say on these 3 guys that are down here, Jokeris is an 8 out of 10 for close. Mascaro is an 8. And Eze
probably an 8
Eze
as well.
A 9.
9. Okay, that's
is a 10.
Actually, I'm very close to giving it. Me and Nabil have got this thing. I put a cheeky thread in about 3 weeks ago because I knew what was going on with him and his agent, and I was bursting, and I didn't want to keep it in, so I put this thing on there saying Nelson for Eze swap. And
yeah.
No deal.
I knew you was fishing then. I knew you was fishing there. I said, he knows something. He knows something.
I thought if I put deal or no deal underneath it, then I've got to get out of a jail clause. Nobody picked up on it except for Nabil. And I thought,
I smelled it. I said, hang on a second.
Listen, I'm surprised because we were supposed to get an announcement today and it hasn't happened, so I'm quite surprised about it. So it should have been a 10. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's that. Well, I mean, from my sources, there is supposed to be a Palace want a player. That's what I've known from 3 weeks ago. Today I was told the same thing, and I think that might be the holdup. I think the holdup might be, can we get this player or that player? So that means this could ride another few days. But in terms of does Crystal Palace want to sell? Well, they got no choice because it's a release clause. So Arsenal have got that in the bag. Does Eze want to come to Arsenal? Yes, he does. He wants to come back. He's got unfinished business here. He's not been shy of that. It's just the formalities. And honestly, I was told today that it was going to happen, and I've not seen anything official. So That's my side on it. But I do want to go into this, guys, and I'll do the others. Actually, no, let me do them now. Meruki is a 4 out of 10. Sesko is a 3. Rodrigo is a 5 out of 10 chance of signing, and Watkins is a 6.
Is Madueke just the Chelsea boy?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about these guys. Yeah. So let's talk about these guys. So I do want to say, Eze, man, there's nothing really more for me to say about Eze that has already been said. We know his levels, guys. And you know when you know a guy's levels is when you sell a guy like Michael Lazy to Bayern Munich and you think that team is dead. They've lost Zaha, they've lost AZ, that team is dead. And then this guy comes in and just grabs the team by the scruff of the neck and just performance after performance after performance. You look at his, I think it's Who Scored does an average rating for the year, don't they? He's ranked in the top 5 in terms of, they have player ratings out of 10 and they do it on Who Scored. Tony picks up those things after every game. But at the end of the day, at the season, they do a first 11 players of the highest rated players in the league for the game performances. He was in there. That's how high his levels are. He's ridiculous, man. If you see, and then you see him play that big teams like Arsenal, City, Liverpool. He's just toying with those teams. He's just toying with those teams. And for me, we don't have a natural number 10 behind Odegaard. That's my biggest thing. I know people's talking about he can play on the left in front of Martinelli, and yeah, that would probably happen. But for me, if he comes in, like, you're challenging Odegaard now, and Odegaard is my favorite player in the team, has been for years. But with this guy, Eze, you're talking about levels, man. You're talking just about, this guy is the dream. Yeah, let's just call him that, because he's the guy that you go to bed at night thinking about, wouldn't it be lovely if we had that player? Yeah, he's the dream. Let's go to Vincey started last time, so let's go to Vincey. Vincey, what's your thoughts on these 3 players? I'll give a breakdown on Gyökeres and Mosquera, but let's go with Vincey. Vincey, what's your thoughts on these players?
I think Mosquera, I'm going to go back to front. I think Mosquera is a very good and shrewd scout on the levels of Saliba and Gabriel, that they can play in that midfield. The guy's versatile across the back. He's young. And it shows some real insight to go for a player like that. Knowing that we've lost, I'm going to mention his name, Tomiyasu, who for me, I thought was phenomenal when he came to Arsenal. And
never met a forward player who could own him in every game. Never
just
met
phenomenal. And also it's just sad that the football we played, I believe, contributed to his body breaking down. So to get a player like Mosquera who can fill that in, you've already got Calafiori. You know, let's think about it. Arsenal have players who can play and at centre back and rest. You got Timber there and rest your Saliba or Gabriel, or if in the future these guys move on, we can transition. So a very shrewd player there. Gyökeres.
Yeah, was you team Gyökeres or was you team Sesko? Because I was always team Gyökeres. Gary was team Gyökeres. I'm not really sure. You was team.
I'm team Alvarez. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm team Alvarez.
He's team way out of reach. We ain't got money like that, mate.
Listen to me. I don't need a crowd. I don't need a crowd.
He's team for me 100 mil, mate.
I don't need a crowd. I just need Thierry Henry.
You need Kroenke to borrow you 100 mil, mate. Forget Alvarez, man.
I need Thierry Henry to co-sign my vision, because that guy is a baller.
He's a baller, but he ain't got that money, man.
But Gyökeres, I can deal with. I could deal with him coming in because his mindset yeah, and the way where he is on the ball, this team needs that type of killer. Yeah, I don't play when it comes to the ball crossing the line. Yeah, as a striker, when in situations, when you see some of the goals that Gyökeres scores, yeah, reminds me of Righty. Yeah, the guy is a baller. Yeah, so I can appreciate and deal with Gyökeres. I love Alvarez. I don't like some of the foolishness that we've been dealing with in attack, and I have to call it foolishness.
So on that question, I have to stop you there because I want to shout out to King. Thank you for the donation, bro. Guys, this channel doesn't run itself, so when I get donations, I really do appreciate it because you know, I just love the fact that the community backs this channel, backs the forum, and I really do appreciate when people put money forward to it because, as I said, it's not free, it's not cheap, it doesn't run itself. So I really do appreciate it. When you guys hit the likes, it really helps me out in the algorithms. And when you donate, it's straight from the heart. So I do appreciate it. Your question, King, is what are the 3 most preferred attacking options each? I'll give you mine and I'll go to Vincey's because this is Vincey time at the moment. Mine's is Eze on the left. It is Gyökeres in the middle, Saka on the right, and Odegaard at the 10. So, and obviously Rice picking up those numbers every year.
That's
Rice's
4.
numbers are getting bigger at the number 8.
Ain't that 4?
So, yeah.
He asked for 3.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about the whole support system, yeah? But that would be my front 3 and the 2 support system.
Okay.
Vincey, you're already on the conch, but who would your front 3 be?
It's tough. I think
It's tough because you're a Martinelli fan. That's why.
No, I think it's no. You know, if Arteta gets Eze and you've rated it as a 9/10, yeah, great business because I think our front 3 rotates. You can have Martinelli, Gyökeres, Saka. You can have Eze, Saka, Gyökeres. You can have Eze replacing Odegaard. This is the options that, Nabil, you're talking about, rotation. Yeah.
You forgot the biggest option. You forgot when we played PSG, it was Saka that was playing centre forward. That's why he had that near miss and scored 5 minutes after. And Wanyeri then can come in and play on the right. So you can actually go with Saka as the 9, Wanyeri on the right, and then fill in whoever you want on the left.
I've long said where Saka is right now in his game, he needs to travel. Yeah, I looked at last season, and Arteta was reluctant in having Saka inside when Odegaard was missing. Yeah, now you had a young player who could have gone out onto the outside, but we pursued with Saka on the right. In games, Saka has travelled. He has played on the left. He needs to move because his game will improve with him moving on the pitch. So with those players with Eze there, we've got options. I love Martinelli, but even Martinelli at times needs rest. And having players, Gyökeres, I'd love to see him start up front. I'd love to see him start up front. I know Havertz is there. I know what he does, but we have to be able to have players to be able to rotate, move, and cause teams problems. We cannot be going 3 years struggling against a low block. It's foolishness.
Yeah.
I think it's been longer than 3 years struggling against a low block.
It's absolutely foolishness. And you stop and you think when you have players with pace, when Saka was playing with pace, when Martinelli was playing with pace, look at how frightening our attack was.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why you have a Zumbamendi in there as well, because of what he can do in the final third.
And with Eze,
there,
it can get us back to that type of flow in football. And teams will fear us.
Yeah,
because you stop and you think, going to me personally, I think PSG managed us. We managed.
I think PSG won because of their goalkeeper.
Listen, their manager said Arsenal was the best team that they played last season in every competition.
Right, and look what we did at the start. But when it came to the latter end, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Vitna, and my man at left back, PSG did a number on us. And I think if with Eze, Gyökeres, movement, if these guys are fit, we can reach the potential.
So what's your preferred three? Eze, Gyökeres, and Saka. No, did you say Martinelli?
Martinelli's going to start before Eze. Arteta's he's gonna do that because the guy's been there. As long as
What's your preferred three?
I love Martinelli, but Arteta doesn't play Martinelli the way he should be playing. So I can see in the way how Arteta plays. That's how my mind thinks. It's me and Arteta. Arteta, he can quite easily play Eze on the left, Gyökeres up top, Saka.
If you was the manager, Vincey, what is your front three though? You're the manager. Who are you playing?
Martinelli's up there. Martinelli's up there. Gyökeres is up there. And Saka's up there.
So that would be his. Before I let you go on, Vincey, Nabil, what's your front three?
I'm just about to say, as a disclaimer, we are in a really good position. If we can spend the money rightly and get the targets that we're looking for at the prices that they seem to be available for, we are in a good position. So when I give you my front three, don't think it's I could easily pivot. I could very easily pivot. And this is why it's even hard for me to say my front three. I'm a FIFA man and play a football manager and all that sort of thing. And I would love to have this as my front three and I'm playing them. And it's Saka, it's Sesko, and it's Rodrigo. That's the dream for me. But when I say that, I'm just giving you my front three.
Yeah.
Eze's in my team. Eze has to be bought. No matter what, he has to be bought. And if I can't get Sesko, and I'm still in love with Gyökeres. If I can't get Sesko, I am still doing backflips for having Gyökeres. Like I said, and having Eze as well. But if it was me and I'm putting it together based on my scouting, based on my eyes, what I've seen when I see them play, the way Arsenal play, the way Vincey talks week in, week out about how he wants us to play, you're talking, what's his name? Gyökeres. He will bang that ball in the back of the net, but he will fumble if you're playing intricate football in and around the blocks, in and around the box on a low block. He's not that guy. That's his Sesko. That's his Sesko. His feet are amazing for a guy that tall. Have you not seen his
long distance shot? Long distance shot.
He's like Havertz, but with a dead shot.
That's the icing on the cake. I'm not even like, you can bring me that at Christmas. You can bring me that every Christmas, every Easter. That's fine. I'm talking about the bread and butter. When it comes to that build-up play, when it comes to linking up with Saka, linking up with Rodrigo, linking up with Odegaard, Marino, Zubamendi, he can play ball. Gyökeres ain't that guy. He'll bang the ball in the back of the net. He'll score 100 goals. I'm not saying he won't, but when
he'll be a bully.
Yeah, he'll be a bully. That's what I'm saying. So there's different types of playing, and they all work for me. They all work for me. The way it's like Vardy. He terrorizes us sometimes. He gets
trust me, defenders will not want to go against Gyökeres next season.
I'm telling you,
they will not want to play Gyökeres.
I know what he brings to the game, but the way we play, the fantasy football that I'm looking at, that's got to be Rodrigo. That's got to be Sesko. That's got to be Saka. It's going to be beautiful. It will be beautiful. It will take us right back to those Bergkamp days, those Pires days, those Henry days where football was sexy. But like I said, if you give me Eze and you give me Gyökeres and you give me Saka, I'm equally as happy. But first choice, that would be me.
What about you, Gary? Who's your front three?
Yeah, it's an easy one for me. Saka, Gyökeres, and Eze.
Yeah.
I watched Sesko. I watched videos of Sesko, and I can see that the boy's got talent. But I've also seen him play basketball, and he's much better at that than he seems to be at football.
He's good in the air.
Vincey, I'm going to let you carry on, finish off what you were saying about these guys.
Yeah, and it's painful for me to talk about Eze because Palace are my hometown team. Palace are my hometown team. I was born just around the corner from the area, so I personally think, again, we have a player that can travel. And I will challenge the manager. I'm not giving Arteta no praise. Yeah. You buy a Eze, yeah. Do not waste that player's potential, right? Right now, in how he can, where he's playing his ball and what he can do. Because he can rise. Yeah. I know we're in love with Odegaard.
How old is he?
He's what, 26, 27?
He's 27.
Yeah.
He's getting on. He's getting on.
He's 27. He's in his prime.
Do not waste, because for my hometown team to get violated with Elise and then to lose Eze, and we do foolishness and keep that man sitting on the bench, I am going to be livid. Hence why, when you put that poll up, I said no deal. Straight away, not because of the player, because of how my manager coaches and doesn't rotate. So, but Eze is a player. He can travel. He can travel.
No, don't get it twisted. It's not between Eze and Rodrigo for me, because Eze plays midfield and left wing. I want Rodrigo. I want both of them. Sorry, I want both of them.
Andrew wants Osimhen badly.
I want both of them. I want Eze and Rodrigo. But if we can't get Rodrigo, then Eze's just fine.
So Andrew says Eze on the left, Osimhen up front, Saka at right. Cam is saying Eze on the left, Watkins in the middle, Saka on the right. King has gone for don't know who's on the left, but it's Gyökeres. It means out of those two,
Saka, Sesko, and Gyökeres.
Yeah, but he's saying again, choice of striker. I go for Gyökeres there.
Ain't nobody
because he's ready
Osimhen.
now. I don't want potential. I want production. So I'd go for Gyökeres at the moment.
We're not in the potential
Cranky,
stage
so
anymore. We're in the ready-made stage.
Cranky's talking about Havertz, who's a player we haven't even mentioned today. 18's gone for Rodrigo, Gyökeres, and Saka.
I like that. that.
Apollo, can I just say, I don't think it's happened often outside of Pogba, where you've had an academy player had the opportunity to come back to the club. Yeah. So it's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
You know, you got to recognize the brother was crying for a week. So he knew when he left his dream.
So I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something inside, which you guys already know, but I'm just bringing it up again. Because when I spoke to Colin, not Colin, I spoke to Jordan yesterday. Jordan is Richard Garlick's PA. So they do all the playing negotiations. So when I talked to this brother, I said, this guy's been gone for so long. What brought him back? And you guys already know the answer to that because the pictures came out about 4 days ago. It was Declan Rice. And apparently, I shouldn't really say this. Should I? I shouldn't really say this, but it's no big deal anyway, because I don't know. Maybe the media's printed it. They may have printed it or not. But Declan basically said to him, you know what makes everything worth it coming to Arsenal? Because when I scored them 2 goals at Real Madrid, I felt like the best player in the world. And apparently when he said that to Eze, that's what made the light go on. And it's just amazing. When I thought about it, I was like, wow, that's incredible. Because I know, you know what Declan's like. Declan's a humble guy, you know, he ain't going to bullshit you. Declan doesn't do that. So for him to go into that dream and say, I felt like the best player in the world when we beat Real Madrid that night.
Well, to be fair, he was. When he scored them 2 goals at that moment in time, he was the best player in the world. Like, and take your pick. Name your best free kick takers. Anybody would be proud of those 2.
And I
People will be talking about that for the next 50 years. Like,
and who scored 2 in a row? 2 free kicks in a row. Who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that?
Only Pepe. Pepe was the only guy to
dominate the game the way he did. But I think it's also a beautiful story for the fans to get reunited or acquainted with a diehard Arsenal fan because he's an Arsenal fan, you know. And I think it's a beautiful story. But yeah, don't waste his golden years, man, because the guy's a baller. That's me. He's a baller.
So let's go to Nabil next before I go to Gary. Nabil, if he goes on the left, Eze would be essentially playing with Miles Lewis-Skelly. he'll have overloads and rotations with Declan and Miles.
Well, not necessarily. Miles ain't playing ahead of Calafiori if he's fit. People need
I
to.
think he is. Yeah, I think he
ain't.
is. Yeah.
Well, this is going to be interesting because I feel sorry for that guy, Calafiori, because he's had a bit of a dodgy season when it comes to injury. But when he steps up into that final third, you know, he's a very cultured player. I love the way Skelly goes about his business, but I'm telling you, Calafiori is a class above. He's a proper class above.
Yeah, I still think this is a Matthew Debussy, Hector Bellerin situation. I really do. We'll see anyway. We'll see what happens this season.
Yeah, but I mean, and this is the thing. But the reason why I say it's a really exciting time is because you want to go for the overlap. You go Calafiori, you go Ben White, because you'll get the overlap. And the way Ben White works with Odegaard, you know, that cannot be overlooked. But then when you're talking about the inversion and you're talking about Miles Lewis-Skelly stepping into midfield, there's no way Calafiori does that like Miles Lewis-Skelly. There's no way Ben White does that like Timber. Timber's jumping into midfield is a midfielder, while Skelly in midfield is a midfielder. But when you're talking about the overlaps, Timber's not the overlap guy. Timber's not the overlap guy. Neither is Skelly.
King is throwing some proper bullets tonight, you know. All right, okay. My top three. I think the best free kick I've ever seen was Ari Hahn against Dino Zoff. You probably weren't even born when that happened. Look it up. Ari Hahn against Dino Zoff. That was the best free kick I've ever seen. The second was the Roberto Carlos. And the third best free kick I've ever seen was David Beckham against Greece.
If you're not throwing Jorginho in it, then like your list is invalid.
Yeah, those are my top three. Everyone's got top threes. Those are my top threes.
Put the other three back up. Where would you put the other three? These three. So thinking about that now. So I like Eze, but I like what he brings in the sense that he's nice on the left wing. He's very dependable on the left wing. But
he's nice everywhere, bro.
I like what he offers in that if you're not fancying Declan Rice in that left centre midfield, offering you balance and offering you creativity, I'd play Eze there. People keep saying Eze or Odegaard, Eze or Odegaard. No. It's Eze and Odegaard. That's what excites me. You know, I like to see that you know, an attack midfielder here and an attack midfielder here. Ideally, you're Pedri. Ideally, you're Javi. But if you ain't got that, Eze's nice, and then you got Odegaard there, and then you got those guys on the overlap.
Nabil, can I just ask you, because I'm there with you, and I know our brains when it comes to football are very similar. Can you see Arteta doing that? Because the team has needed
sometimes your hands got to get forced. Sometimes your hands got
brains on the pitch.
I know. Sometimes your hands have got. The way Arteta works is that you're kind of hoping for some injury madness, something to force his hand, and then it's there, and you're like, oh, it looks like a masterstroke from the boss, but nah, that's just too adventurous for him. But I would like to see that, because let's face it, again, when you've got Rice playing that 8 and you've got Zubimendi playing that 6, that's a lot. That's 160 odd million invested into those two positions. You can't just throw that out the window. You know, you got to stick to that. So but at the same time, it's the way he wants to play as well. But when I see Eze, that's what excites me about Eze. The fact that you could see him in that left centre midfield role, providing balance and creativity alongside Odegaard, or you could see him doing an equally damaging job right on that left wing. For me, I mean, Martinelli's had a couple of dodgy seasons, to be fair. When you're talking about Eze, when you're talking about Rodrigo, they're both ahead of Martinelli for me on that left wing. Sorry.
Well, I'm giving you till January.
All right. No worries.
To work on Arteta, because I need to see two brains on that pitch.
Yeah, I hear you. With Gyökeres, again, somebody mentioned it in the panel. Somebody mentioned it in the comments. Gyökeres mentality. That's his big thing. I like the way he thinks. He's a very mentally tough player, very strong, but he seems like a really good guy. He seems like a real Arsenal type player, but he's also, like I said, he's a beast. He's also very powerful, very fast. Mate, like I said, give me Sesko, give me Gyökeres. I'll take either one. I'll be equally as happy as either one. what one doesn't offer, the other one does. You know, Joker is Sesko. The biggest thing about Sesko, he's going to be a nice player. You know, he's going to be nice. But the big question mark is he going to bang? Is he really going to bang and score goals? It's a big question mark. But with Jokeris, I don't have that same issue. You know, so if he's got Eze on one flank and Saka on the other flank, and he's got Odegaard behind him and Declan Rice, come on, man, how is he not going to score? You know. But again, Mosquera, of all the sort of reserve players, the backup signings, this one excites me the most because I remember watching a show when they was pitching Hijarson from Bournemouth, was it? Hijarson, 50 million to Real Madrid.
Real Madrid,
Yeah, they was pitching Hijarson as a 50 million player that we was interested in. And Real Madrid just came in and just out of nowhere and he's like, but the guy was saying Arsenal shouldn't be looking at Hijarson. They need to look at this guy. And I was like, who's this? Never heard of him. And I watched this guy and I said, bloody hell, this boy's tidy. This boy not only can cover for Saliba, he can look like he can give him a good run for his money and challenge him for that spot. He'd be a good cover. If we sell him, we wouldn't miss him. I said that was exciting, and we didn't get linked with him at all. And then, like a month, 2 months later, we're linked with him. I'm like, get him, just get that player for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Xabi Alonso, they bought the Bournemouth guy before he barely turned up at Real Madrid, but he basically liked Mosquera as well. He was calling him the next Saliba. So I think this guy's going to have levels. And the only thing that's an issue, and I was going to talk about this when I was having my time, is they don't want to sell him. They really don't, because they know this guy's going to be the bee's knees. They are fighting. They've rejected 2 offers from Arsenal. One for 10 million. Yeah, one for 10 million, one for 14 million. They want 20 million.
Give them 20 million. What the hell are we? Give them 20 million. What the fuck? Oh
I think the problem with that is they know if he comes in, they're going to have to sell Kivior, and Kivior's market is around 20 million.
Why are they going to have to sell Kivior?
See, that's what winds me up. There's such a paltry figure. Money.
Yeah.
20 million. Mosquera will be worth 50 million. I think
initially what they wanted to do was buy him for 10 million, sell Kivior for 20, earn 10 mils, and then still have a good player.
Right-sided centre back.
Why can't they buy the youth? Let him stay for a year. Let the youth stay for the year and come the year after. You've got Kivior. Why not buy the youth? Let the man relax.
Why is it either or either? One is right-sided centre back. One is a left-sided centre back. Why is it either?
And I think that's why they like Mosquera, because he can come in for Saliba and just you won't miss anything. So anyway, look, I think the deal's going to get done. Someone's asked me the question with it. Yeah, I think the deal's going to get done, but they're not budging Valencia, and the Valencia and some money problems as well.
20 million is worth it, man. Come on.
But I think the deal's going to get done, and if it gets done, look forward to them selling Kivior. Kivior probably going back to Italy, just for them to recuperate some of this money, because they have to recuperate money. Regardless, all this stuff that they're doing is great.
This ain't a good idea. Apollo.
They're going to have to recuperate money.
That has the potential to bite you in the bum.
Arsenal
you need 2 centre-back covers. You need 2 good centre-back covers. Keyword can't be in 2 places at once. What if you lose both Gabby and Saliba?
I mean, it's interesting. I don't know what that was initially the plan, but now they've got rid of Tomiyasu. That might have changed. So I don't know.
That's not a good idea.
I'll have to talk to Colin to find out what the situation
Arsenal
is.
should be making money on players like Nelson, not be making money on Kivior.
Exactly.
You forgot about Lokonga. You forgot about Lokonga, Zinchenko.
Those are the players the club are losing value in the way how they view the player, and players are not going to give them the money that we should be getting for those type of players.
Why can't we sell players? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
market value.
You need to have another whole show about that, because seriously, it's terrible.
Yeah, they don't have much value, and no one's coming in for our players. And there's 2 reasons for that. The number one, the backup players are not really good.
I'll tell you what, sorry to cut you, Apollo. Let me just cut you really quickly. I'll tell you what people didn't really notice about Arsene Wenger is that he knew how to put players in the shop window. We don't put players on the shop window. We leave them on on the shelf to gather dust.
Yeah.
So how are they going to get a markup? How they get?
Yeah, you're right.
You know, you talk about the Congo, you talk about Vieira. How are they going to have a markup if you don't play them in the shop window?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, we got 60 million for Smith Rowe and Nketiah, and that is good business coming from the academy. But the problem is they didn't replace them. So those two players were key for this club, and it just hasn't worked. But Gary, let me get your perspective on Eze, Gyökeres, and Mosquera, and then we can move on to the last bronze part.
Yeah, so I'll start with Eze. I think the guy's just golden. I think Eze's just golden. I mean, the things that he does, the goals that he scores, like effortless edge of the box, like 20-yard curlers into the top corner, bottom corner. Eze's just got it all. He can create, he can score, he can dribble, he can run with the ball. You know, he's a complete and utter fantastic player. And I hear what Nabil and Vinci are saying about get these two brains on the pitch. But the question is, can Arteta adapt to having them two players in the starting lineup together? In answer to Cranky's question, I think Eze can do a shift defensively. I don't see why he wouldn't. But then you've got Declan Rice in the team, you've got Zubimendi in the team to do the donkey work and allow Eze. So I think Eze's a must. I would love to see him take the 10 shirt and just come here and just ball out like he does with Crystal Palace. I think if you put him in a team, you know, where he's playing with proper players, no disregard to Crystal Palace, but if you put him in a proper team, I think you'll see the best of him. Gyökeres, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Gyökeres was the centre forward with the most presses in the top divisions. I'm sure we've discussed that before, Apollo.
Yeah.
Who?
Like Gyökeres, he presses from the like a
really
madman. I think he even out presses Havertz. And he can score goals. And he's rate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a fact that we've discussed before. He presses like a nutcase from the front. Was one or something like that. We discussed it earlier in the season. And plus, the main thing for us is just putting that ball in the net. You know, we get that killer in front of goal. You know, this is what's let us down in the last 2 seasons. Not being able to score goals, and Havertz this year. So Gyökeres is the man, and that Mosquera seems like a decent defender. Can play left centre back and right centre back equally as well. So you're getting one player that can cover 2 positions. But again, is Arteta going to play the game, give him minutes? Because you can't keep overplaying Saliba and Gabriel every week. Against the so-called Leicester teams, you need to rotate the team and let everybody get minutes. And that's the biggest thing that's let Arteta down. For me, personally, I just don't think he seems to have gone down the rotation road, but he hasn't quite gone far enough. He's kind of gone down and he's stuck. We all knew Saka was going to break it. It was a question of how bad, and it turned out to be 3 months. The same with Gabriel. The same with Havertz. I mean, we saw a game, didn't we, Apollo, where Havertz literally couldn't run.
Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible.
More last season,
Yeah.
He was dead on his feet, but still continued to play that break and first training session. You know, so Arteta's got to get it right as well. It's all right signing all these players, but the manager's got to give them all decent amount of minutes and decent rest. And if you can't, I mean, you could sign 100 players it ain't going to make no difference.
Yeah, that's right. He's right. that's my point. You know, it's when you play the game, you know what it's like when you're a decent player.
Yeah, it doesn't
sitting
matter
on
who you sign. You could go sign Messi, Ronaldo, whoever.
Sorry, episode.
You
My
know, but
browser
then
just
you
shut down,
expect
which
them
has never
when they're
happened before.
needed. You expect them to come in and be able to perform to a level that's required when they've had no minutes during the season. So how does that work?
Yeah.
And I know Tony hates the expression like you're coming in cold, but everybody needs to get a certain amount of minutes. So when they're called upon,
out the arse.
they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Maybe Arsenal should have a big sale day. Call it out the arse.
Out the arse. But I think the thing is, as fans are right to expect more because the team is so close. But it's time we've got to start making right decisions to benefit.
So close.
So to bring in these caliber of players, we expect a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C because there's no excuse to not have it. With a 26-man squad against certain teams where you know we've struggled. You know, I don't want to be going up against Newcastle and struggling for 70 minutes to break their press and have a decent shot. I don't want to be. That's foolishness,
mate. If we get our act together this term, if we get our act together this window, those days are done. Especially when you're looking at players like Jacob. What's his name? Eze. You give us Eze. It's got to be Eze or Rodrigo. I think it should be both. But if you're not, I'll take either one. But Eze looks more versatile and Premier League proven. And then your core is or Sesko. It's not going to be the same. I'm telling you, it will not be the same. And this is what we've been waiting for because you and I have been falling asleep with that low block. And you've only got Odegaard to really provide that creative spark. Nah, not happening. Not again.
Yeah. And Saka to an extent. And Saka.
Nah. No, because Saka's on the wing. We're talking when you're talking about we're talking about in the middle of the park. We're talking about in front of that 18-yard box. Down the flanks, not a problem. Martinelli's dangerous. I don't mind Martinelli. He can get past them on those flanks. We're talking about right in front of that
right in the core.
Box.
Yeah,
it bypasses that way. You know, if that's how we're getting in, if we're trying to unlock it, we say forget that. Sling it out to the right. Sling it out to the left. Forget trying to. When you look at Pedri, I have to watch Barcelona if I want to see that type of football.
And I think the biggest problem is how many midfield players have we got that can beat a man? And that's where we struggle because when you look at the three Musketeers and D'Artagnan, when you look at Kleb, Nasri, Fabregas, Fabregas was D'Artagnan, wasn't he? So it was Kleb, Rosicky. Yeah. So when you look at the three Musketeers and D'Artagnan, all them man that can burst past a player, you know, don't matter where you are on the pitch, they could just take. The only problem is we didn't have a defense. We couldn't defend. But imagine that setup just terrorizing defensives.
I'd just take Rosicky. Just give me Rosicky. Just give me Rosicky, mate, and just slot him right where Rice plays. Let Rice drop back a bit.
We don't really have people like that can run at defenses. That's the problem. That's the real big problem. So guys, I want to move on to our bronze. So we're talking about the guys that are the furthest away from Arsenal. Now, someone's asked me a question about
what's the rating on these ones. Hello, can you repeat the rating on those?
The rating I gave for Madueke was 4. Sesko was a 3. Rodrigo was a 5, and Watkins is a 6. Now, I can only say that because I know that they've had meetings with Watkins' agent. I know that they have approached Chelsea for Madueke. And I know that the talks between Sesko, they haven't broken down, but basically we've got to a stage where we're walking away. And that's why I left that post on the forum a couple of days ago. I had to put a question mark in there because I didn't outright want to say this. Because the 9th hour, they can come back and say, all right, Arsenal, you know what? We know you only want to offer 70 million euros. We'll take it. So there's always a chance. There's always a chance that they can say that, but they're not saying that. And they've said the opposite. They've doubled the initial 45 million that they wanted last year. And they literally want, I think it's 80 million and 10 million extra in incentives. It's a 90 million deal. And Arsenal basically they just that's taking the mick, and we're walking away. That's what, for me, the deal's over. And if it comes back into play, then great. I'm all for it. But for what they've shown and the situation right now, and what I've been told, this deal is dead. Rodrigo is interesting, but we've not talked to Real Madrid. There's been no approach. I've been told that personally from the guys at the training ground. We have not approached the player or Real Madrid. So that is going to be...
You haven't approached the player, so we ain't discussed salary or nothing?
No, nothing. And that should probably be a 4, you know, rather than a 5. But I say it's a 5 because he's already told, like, apparently he's had 2 meetings with Alonso, and he doesn't see a future for himself there. And by all accounts, the language is he wants to leave. That's why he's got a 5. So whereas with Watkins, we talked to his agent. We had 2 meetings with his agents in January. Put in a bid, it was rejected.
That's a 90 million euro deal, though. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Right. If you're talking about Rodrigo, yeah, you're talking about at least 90 million, which for us means that we don't buy Eze. Yeah, so that's essentially what it means, that we don't buy Eze. And I don't see them going into the season with buying Eze. Well, there was
reports in the paper saying that Eze was separate from Rodrigo.
What's that?
Yeah.
There was reports in the paper saying that Eze was separate from Rodrigo. It was a completely separate issue. If we signed Eze, it wouldn't affect our chances of signing Rodrigo.
Right, but then if you did that, then we're not buying a striker.
But I said it. No, but I said
I don't know.
Because I'm looking at the numbers that were talked to me, and I'm trying to shuffle. I'm trying to build a Rubik's cube here, so I know what money's available. So with all this stuff we're talking about, that doesn't mathematically make sense to me. There isn't the money to do that, is what I'm trying to say to you. So if we're living in a world where we get Rodrigo and Eze and everyone else that comes in.
So you say no Sesko, no Gyökeres with those 2.
Yeah. That's essentially what I'm saying. So there has to be other stuff that is in play for that to happen. There's just too much. You're talking about nearly 300 million, Gary. I don't think you understand what we're talking about in terms of figures. It's not in terms of our FFP. It's not achievable, mate, unless something happens drastically, like we sell Martinelli, which is why Nabil put a thing in a poll on the forum today, and I said, you know what? Essentially, I want Rodrigo, but then it has to come at the cost of Martinelli. That's the only way I see it happening. Because you still want a striker, right? You still want a striker.
No, you can't have
one.
We can't have Martinelli and Rodrigo. That makes sense.
Yeah, it has to make sense. Vincey?
So what's happening with Vieira? Because if, as Gary says, I saw that article as a left wing and a striker. Yeah. So even if Martinelli gets sold, what happens with Vieira? Because what I've been told is it was what Arteta does, what Wenger does. He gives the players the opportunity to want to go on loan. And so in the Reece Nelson situation, he's in his last year now, and he's been told, find the team. With Vieira, he's been told that, look, we still like you. We liked you last year, but you wanted to go back to Porto. That was your choice. So this year, the same thing applies. We want you to do a preseason with us. We want you to come in, battle for your place. But if you want to go, you can go. That's the same situation. So
how much can we get for him, though?
I don't know. We paid 36 for him. We'll probably get 20.
I just read.
Gary?
I just read. Well, I don't know if there's any truth to it, that they've offered Sporting 55 plus 5 million Vieira for Gyökeres.
And Vieira.
Yeah, I've not heard of that.
Yeah, and Vieira.
Who was the journalist?
Yeah, and Vieira, yeah.
Who wrote that article?
55 million plus 5 million added. So the deal totals 80 million.
Pounds.
I read it about. Let me see if I can find
It's
it.
probably euros, Nabil.
That's
It's probably euros.
That's got to be
Yeah.
euros.
No, euros.
Yeah.
Euros. 55 million euros plus 5 million in the add-ons and.
But they're going to
Fabio
reject
Vieira.
that. Well, I think you've got to stop pissing about. They're going to reject that, man. Why can't you just deal properly, man? They're so tight.
Yeah, they're getting frustrated as well because remember, Nabil, their training camp starts on Monday and Gyökeres has already told him he's not turning up. So they're going to have a situation that's going to fester itself throughout the team.
Yeah.
So the president has to get on top of that fast. So,
Mate, I tell you what, I thought it'd be like £55 million plus £10 million in add-ons.
it would be euros.
That's too cheap.
Yeah, I know.
He's worth £65 million.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, they obviously they want 80.
I'm saying 75 million euros.
Yeah,
75 million euros. I know they want 80 million.
Yeah,
75 million euros is fine. 70 million euros is fine. Stop pissing about.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't get it. Sometimes it's nice to do a good deal, but I think after a while you got to stop effing about and just be a bit bigger. Think like a big club.
but the difference with that is, and again, I've been told this by Jordan. And Jordan, if you're watching, I'm really sorry, but these aren't inside. This isn't something which we're supposed to keep confidential, right? I'm sure most people in the media already know this, but Berta is different to Edu. The guys said that Edu was a deal breaker. He'd go in, he'd get the deal done, and he'd do it as quickly as possible so that he can move on to the next one. Berta is spinning plates on a stick, and he's a mastermind at it. He's brilliant at it. It's how he's always done it. He plays the game. Edu never knew the game. Edu, you could take Edu and run him around a tree. Yeah, you can't do that with Berta. So Berta knows exactly what he's doing, and so in that regard, Nabil, he's got his positions. It's a game of chess, and he's got his checkmate he's working on, and everyone can see that at the training ground. The industry can see it, and he's not for turning. And Arsenal know that they've got themselves a key piece of the pie. If we do win the title, a lot of it is going to come down to Andre Berta. Someone mentioned that in the chat earlier on. I think he's wearing them down. That's what. That's the expression. And I'm not trying to blow you up, Jordan, if you're watching this, but Berta wearing Sporting Lisbon down. He's wearing them down, and they're getting desperate. That's the situation at the moment. So they will just. Sorry, Vincey.
It's also impacting the players because these players, if they desperately want to leave the club, and they've had agreements, and the club's messing around, the players now they're going to be unsettled. So I can understand.
You wait until Monday when training starts and he don't turn up.
Yeah,
that's when the fireworks are really going to start happening.
Yeah.
Because essentially, look, here we go, Nabil. Essentially, you're not selling this guy, which means you don't have the money, and so you've got a disgruntled cap with with your best player who's won you the title back to back. He's won you back to back titles. You're in the Champions League. You're going to get a mint of cash for him. It might not be what you want, but it's enough for you to move on. And then if you move on, you can then go out and replace him. You've got a settled camp, a team that's all committed. Happy days. Without
I know what you're saying, but I just think that sometimes when I look at the way, like, Barcelona, Man City, PSG, sometimes when you look at the way certain big
Sporting Zone,
you know what I mean?
That was Apollo.
I got that, mate.
If they,
if you've heard of it,
if the price is right, just give them the money. Just stop effing about. It's just like, when I look at Gyökeres, I said it on your platform. If he ain't worth 65 million, what are you doing? Why are you trying to buy him then? If you think he ain't worth 65 million, just give them 65 million and stop pissing about and move on. Like you said, like what Edu would do, getting it wrapped up and move on. That's what I think. Wrap it up, move on. especially with the fact that there's only really Sesko and your core is really out there. They're the only real strikers out there. And you know that Sesko's it's gone cold. Don't mess up this. Just lock it off and move on. That's me. I don't like the idea of trying to get save 5 million.
So King, as I said, this platform at 101, most of my panelists are very, 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 very knowledgeable about world sports. And I can tell you that a player can do that. In football, they don't normally do that because they don't understand player power. But if you've heard of people like Chris Johnson, running back at Tennessee Titans, Terrell Owens, played for the Eagles, Daniel Riffis, Eric Dickerson, Los Angeles Rams, Earl Thomas, Seattle Seahawks. The list is long, long, long. We had a left tackle called Trent Silverback Williams, best left tackle in the NFL. He held out for Washington. We had to trade him to the 49ers. That's why Gary's not saying nothing. We traded the best tackle in the league for peanuts, for a bag of peanuts and a bag of chips. We got a third rounder for a legendary player. Pittsburgh Steelers running back Vincey Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Bell. Yeah.
Morris Drew Jones running back Jacksonville Jaguars. Joey Galloway Seattle Seahawks. Emmitt Smith Dallas Cowboys. Yeah.
But Apollo,
what I'm saying to you is, sorry,
Apollo, you can even mention Paul Pogba, Manchester United, Juve.
Yeah.
He's done it both ways.
See, what you have to remember, King, is there is something that they don't actually tell you in football in the UK and in Europe. Player power is so important, it supersedes their contract. There are players who are making more money yearly in endorsements than their salaries. Let that settle for a second. There are players that are making more money not playing football than what they're getting paid to play football. And that's the world we live in. So if you look in a situation where so many players have sat out, they're like, look, if you're not going to do what I'm doing or what I want or pay me what I want, I'm not coming in. That they have the power to do that. The contract has levies in it, so you'll probably get fined a couple of £1,000 a week when you don't turn up. And with some teams, it's a daily fine. But that's not you're earning 250 grand a week. Why would you care if someone fined you $5 grand a week? You're not even going to miss that. Your agent would be saying, you hold the cards, you hold the power, hold stead. You'll get what you want. And they will. That's the world we live in. So he can do that, bro. He can refuse to go back to the club, and the club knows it. And all it's going to do is it's going to bring about an age of stability around the club, which is really going to hang out their dirty laundry. And they don't want that. It's bad for the name. It's bad for the sponsors. In the end, they will crumble. They all do. Yeah. What's this? William at Chelsea.
William Bogard. Yeah. He just sat on the money though down at Chelsea. But I mean, we benefited from Sol Campbell. He was messed around at Spurs.
We did. Yeah.
Messed around.
We did. So we're gonna have to wait and
Winston
see.
Bogard, not William. Winston.
Winston, yeah.
Yeah, what we saying about these boys now?
Yeah, so Maduki, we talked about Sesko, the situation with Sesko. I'm sure everybody's aware. There's no agreement. There's not going to be an agreement. They've used Mbeumo and Kuna's money to hype up his own. Look, they're not moving. They're not moving from their stance. For them, it's just a calculated risk in regards to what they can earn. And Arsenal, quite frankly, can't go that high. They have targets that they've got to hit, and they've worked everything within their budget. Arsenal know they have a maximum of 70 million to spend on a striker. That's it. That's the deal. And whoever adheres to that amount first is going to play for this club. And that's what it's got to be about, guys. It's got to be about not us buying a player, but if that player wants to come to the club. And Nabil said something earlier in the reins of Sesko ain't twerking for Arsenal. He ain't. But Gyökeres, he's doing backflips and somersaults for Arsenal. He badly wants to join this club. So there's just a situation right now which I think is untenable, and that is Sesko, by all accounts, doesn't seem like it's going to be coming, and there's going to be a deal for Gyökeres probably within days, probably within the next 72 hours. There's go. Andrew's killing me. That's about the 5th time he's mentioned Vincent Osimhen. Listen, I have to say, Osimhen, brilliant player, but I think he's burned these bridges. I think he burnt them last year. And there's just so much negativity around him in the agents department. No team is coming in for this guy. No top team anyway.
Coming in for Simon.
Yeah, Victor Osimhen is not even getting phone calls these days. And so that's just where it's not good for the player. It's a shame. Chelsea wanted him last season, and they decided to take Pedro instead. They're not even for Chelsea to not touch a player. You know something's wrong.
Especially a player like him, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And obviously we talked about Rodrigo, and to an extent we discussed Watkins. Watkins still wants to come to Arsenal. When was the meeting? What's today? Today is Friday. So the meeting they had with his agent was this Wednesday. But it wasn't any formality. It was from what I've told, just to follow up on the 2 meetings they had in January about availability and cost. Because remember, they rejected a 60 million deal. Now teams are saying he ain't even worth 40 million. So I don't know. I don't know what the situation is moving forward with Watkins, but I do believe it's an option. If something doesn't work with Gyökeres, then I believe that it's an option. But I think the Gyökeres deal is going to get done. Andrew says, what about Declan Rice's Nigerian cousin, Jollof? Oh, mad things. Right, guys, listen, is there anything else, anybody wants to discuss? Or anybody's got anything to say on these ones?
No, I just do not want Watkins anywhere near the club. I'd rather us get, like you said, Rodrigo and Eze and play Havertz up front than Watkins. I like him, but it's come and gone. It's come and gone now for me.
Yeah, I can see people really discount how much of an important player Kai Havertz is for this team. He's just a beast. When I see him play, especially I remember me and Gary watching the first half of the season games when he was playing as the 8. And when he dropped in as a pivot 8, he was excellent. When he moved up to an advanced 8, he started scoring goals. Before he moved to the
I'd like to see Havertz drop in the middle with Rodrigo and Saka playing. No, Rodrigo and Saka playing around him.
Right.
But Rodrigo and Saka playing around him, because Rodrigo, I really like him. I like him. I mean, Eze is just as good. He'll do just as good a job. But I really want to see Eze in midfield.
I mean, Arteta's got 3 guys at the number 8 in Moreno, Rice, and Havertz who can play a variety. They can play 6s, 9 striker. They can float all around the board.
But none of them are the type that I'm looking at. I'm looking at Eze in that position. Yeah. I'm looking at someone very attacking, very creative, very take a shot from out there, curl it in. Bring out the best in Odegaard. But I tell you something. I think Madueke has definitely thrown under the radar. I think we screamed for cover for Saka. We screamed, we need to get cover for Saka. We need to get cover for Saka. And then someone like Madueke pops up, and you probably can get him for 40 million. And you say, "Nah, we don't want him." Well, like, yeah, you do. You actually need him. Just throw 30, 40 million at it and just get him as cover for Saka. That's great cover. You already know what you can do. Good Premiership player.
So I've had those discussions. But when I talked to Colin on Wednesday, my side of it was, how can this deal happen and what are the implications? And what I was told was Madueke is open to joining Arsenal. Chelsea understand, and they didn't even talk numbers. They just allowed Arsenal to have a meeting with him. I'm not sure why, because normally a team would say he's not for sale, or a team would just outrightly say price tag 50 million. Chelsea didn't say that. They just said you can talk to the player. So they had a meeting with the player. He's open to joining the Gunners. There has been talks. So the meeting, I believe, was Monday, this week Monday. So the meeting was 5 days ago. There's been ongoing talks with his agent throughout this week. but from Colin's perspective and from my perspective as well, Arsenal are looking at it is and saying, will this hold back the development of Ethan Nwaneri?
Ethan's not a right winger. He's cover for Odin. He's not cover for Saka.
I know, but that's what they're looking at, and that's what I would look at too. Because Ethan, and I said this to the guys on the panel, he's not pulled up trees for me as a number 10, but as a 7 where Saka plays, Ethan is electric. He'll beat a man. He'll go inside. He'll go out.
I think
he's got an eye for a pass. But I haven't seen him excel at the 10.
It's what I was saying to Vincey earlier. I was saying sometimes your hands get forced. Yeah. And that's what happened with Nwaneri. He got put into that right wing position because Jesus was out. Saka was injured. Jesus couldn't cover. So Nwaneri came in there and done a job. His hand was forced. If he had the same situation in Odegaard's position, he'd have done the same thing. But you didn't get that. You understand what I'm saying to you? Oh, I feel like Nwaneri needs to be played where he's supposed to be played, behind Odegaard, cover for Odegaard in that position. Like you said, Eze, I don't see him as that Odegaard side. I see him as that left side behind Rice, playing cover for Rice. I don't want to see those guys on the left, even though I know they can do it. I prefer them. They're more dangerous in the middle, I think.
Yeah. Do you know what? Andrew's got a question. Sorry, go on, Vincey. You can answer the question while you're at it as well.
If Arsenal win no trophies next season, Arsenal. Listen, Andrew, listen. I don't play when it comes to no trophies and process. Yeah, I don't play because I'm 2 years now waiting for Arteta to get over the line. Is he gone? I can't see Arsenal getting rid of him. But what I can see is Arsenal fans losing faith in him quickly.
That's a fair assumption.
Quickly. And that's going to be, if you think it was toxic when Arsene Wenger left, you're not going to be pulling wool over the Arsenal fans' eyes watching foolishness on the pitch and still trying to say, do you know what, you spent money and we're not getting over the line.
What if he comes second place in the league and lost the Champions League final? Would you reckon then?
I think it would be just as bad.
He's staying for me if that's the case.
No, I don't think. We know the club is not going to get rid of him. It's the fans' perception.
I'm asking you.
Would I get rid of him?
I mean, would you be calling for him? What would your position be? Would you be?
It's where I am now.
My position would be, if he drops out the top 4, then get rid of him. But if he finishes second, gets to the final of the Champions League, he's staying.
What if what if he comes third in the league and last 4 in the Champions League?
So that would depend on the factors, because this past season, he had factors like the injuries that was completely out of his hands and players getting red cards and suspended, which threw the team.
Yeah, I disagree. I'm with Vincey on that. No more.
Yeah, you can disagree with Vincey. That's fine. But
no more excuses.
I'm holding Arteta accountable. Those are things that he's not accountable for.
That's not holding him accountable.
So I'm talking about holding him accountable. So if those factors happen next season and we finish third, I'm not going to put that on the manager. No,
but listen, Apollo. We've got a window coming up, right? And we're approaching it in a certain way. Liverpool, City, they've all done some business. And when the fans start talking, everybody says, "Oh no, you got one more month. We got this month. You got take your time, patient game." Now, if you play the game that you're playing now in this transfer window, regardless, if you get the players, then it's definitely on you. If you don't get the players, it's still on you, because this is your window. You didn't do nothing in January. You've had a great time. You've had a great.
But that's not Arteta's fault. That's Tim Lewis, Richard Garlick, and Andre Berta. That's nothing to do with Mikel. Mikel's just as frustrated as we are. But he's walking in there every day saying, "Where's my effing players?"
Yeah, as a manager, you got to boss them about a bit. You got to
Yeah,
bust
but
before you're
unfortunately,
out.
there's a hierarchy.
Can I
There's a
just say
hierarchy.
this? Whilst you say there's a hierarchy, Arteta made it quite clear for everyone in Arsenal universe, Aubameyang is not playing while I'm manager of this coach. So I'm sorry, yeah. Arteta's got bass in his voice, yeah, and he went up to the Aubameyang, top goal scorer, was training on his jacks. He's the manager of this club, and he said he is not playing. So I'm sorry, where we are right now, if Arteta wants a striker, he's had opportunities to have gone out and got a striker in previous seasons. He has chosen not to because there's a style of football he wanted. He didn't want an assassin. He did not want it. So right now, where we are at this club, no excuses, none whatsoever. Where we are teetering towards Gyökeres. You're saying Sesko is done, and he cannot go into this transfer window shouting out process with just Havertz. Can't do it.
No.
And you can't turn around and say the injuries are not on Arteta because he's choosing to play these players in the system he's playing and not rotating them. Yeah. And players are getting injured left, right, and centre. And it's under his watch. So
there's no excuses.
So for me, even last season, we finished second, but we were still close to finishing third.
True.
So whilst you say it's down to circumstances, nah. Arsenal Football Club need a trophy.
Yeah, I agree.
We need a trophy.
I agree. I agree. If anybody says if we don't win a trophy this season, and anyone says Arteta out, I mean, I might be saying it as well, but you can't wrong them. You can't wrong them.
Yeah, I can't agree with you too. Even if we won if we won the FA Cup or League Cup, I'd think nothing of it.
I don't want
We've won them so many times.
You
think nothing of it. I'd go and enjoy myself. I've had a nice day. But for me, we would have missed our targets.
When I say cup, this is the thing. This is my thing. This is why I made that post the other day. We had a big conversation about it. This is why you're talking about you're a big club. At this stage, you're Arsenal Football Club. You're a big club. It's the Premier League. It's the Champions League or nothing. I don't care about the FA Cup. Like, what you think Real Madrid and Barcelona give a shit about that Copa del Rey? That's a chaser.
Exactly.
That has to come with the league or with the Champions League. You can't be like running around, we're a big club, we won a Copa del Rey. Get the fuck.
But Nabil, even as big as those clubs are, they show up in those tournaments and win it. And this is the point.
But that's what I'm saying. But they are winning the Liga as well. And they're in the mix with the Champions League as well. They're winning them too.
Right. And this is why I say you can't remove the accountability on what are we doing as a football club in these trophies and getting players and getting over the line. We have to get over the line. Now, I would take a League Cup, FA Cup. You turn around and you said if he finished second in the league and blew the Champions League final, I think fans would be even angry at the fact that we had the squad or had the opportunity and still couldn't get over the line.
All right, what if he came second in the league, finished in the final, lost in the final of the Champions League, but won the FA Cup?
I'll say go again. Because he's got over the line. He has shown. No, seriously. Either way you...
I reckon a lot of fans would as well, because they just want a trophy, they just want something.
Yeah, either way you spin it. Mikel, I will ask the question, what is the process now? Because you can't use the word process and Partey's gone. That's dead. That process,
unfortunately,
is dead.
As I said, I don't agree. You guys are still, I love the passion. I love the fact that you guys are thinking like fans, and I love it. And maybe if I thought the way you guys did, I would agree with you. But for what Arteta has brought for the club, the team, the board, the culture, I love what he's brought to the club. And this thing is growing, and there's going to be a title win, whether it's now, whether it's in 2 years. That's what we're building up to.
We ain't got 2 years.
And well, you know, whether we got 2 years or not, Liverpool's won 2 titles in the last 35 years. How do you think they feel?
Yeah, but hold up, hold up.
No team is privileged to win a
Mate,
title.
listen, mate.
Nobody
All
is.
right, look. Now let's address your logic. Let's address your logic.
Yep.
Brendan Rodgers came second with Liverpool, and they had Suarez, had a decent team. But
They had the best front three, SAS.
Brendan Rodgers could not cross that line. By your logic, you as a Liverpool supporter, you're keeping Brendan Rodgers, and you're never getting that title. Brendan Rodgers had to go, and Klopp had to come in for Liverpool to become that that Premier League winning team, that Champions League winning team. And even when you got Brendan Rodgers winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League, they still came in and got slot, and he done it again. You've got to understand that with this game, you can't get too attached. With Arsenal, with Arteta, I've been Arteta in all the way, and I've been watching it very closely. And I've said to myself, you know what? I tell you what Arteta needs. He needs 26 players at least.
Yeah,
decent squad players, not no riffraff, not players like Lokonga and Tavares who ain't going to do jack for you, even if they get a game. You need 26 of your dependable, resourceful players. Guys like Mosquera, guys like Norgard, guys like Kepa. You need 26 players. You need your striker. You need your full team, right? After that, I don't want to hear nothing. Injuries are part of the game. This is why we've got to have a minimum of 26, because injuries are part of the game. After that, I don't want to hear nothing. You've got to be able to, now, to be fair, the only saving grace he's got is that when you say to yourself, well, come on a sec, hold on a second. He's got these new players in. You don't expect them to do everything in the first season. They've got a gel. So maybe this one season, you could get a little bit of a bly. But at the same time, you've got Havertz, you've got Saka, you've got, if you keep Martinelli, you've got Rice. You have got a settled team still. You can still throw out 11 players that are settled. So there's that argument there as well. So for me, if he loses in the Champions League final and he comes second, I can't sack you. Whether you give an FA Cup or not, there's no way I can sack you. You're still doing good.
I look at this as a business standpoint. I'm looking at, do I believe in the guy who I've employed to change my team around? My team was a failing team, half empty stadium. I haven't been in Europe for how many years, dwindling in debt. And then this guy comes along, no experience, by the way, and he's galvanized. Not only has he got rid of all my dead wood, which I couldn't do. As owners, like we were lambs to a slaughter with all these guys who were sucking up our wage bill. This guy, and it's not only Arteta, it's Edu, it's a lot of these factors that have built this empire that we have now. I'm looking at that guy, and you know what? I'm gonna tag him in for long term. It's the biggest mistake that Bayer Leverkusen couldn't do with Xavi Alonso, because I think he's going to do well at Real Madrid. But it's about the underlying factors. What you've done for my team, what you've done for my cultures. You've made us a powerhouse in world football now. We are a massive brand, not a failing team. And on the pitch, you're regarded and winning these accolades. Last January, he won manager of the year. In January, all these accolades. You play against these top teams, and they tell you, Arsenal dominated us. Real Madrid's like, they dominated us. PSG, who knocked us out, said Arsenal were the best team. When you're an owner, not a fan, so as fans, you lot can say what you want. I don't think like you guys. Yeah, as many might say, Bertram, I'm not part of the herd. I look at this as a business perspective. These owners on the front office absolutely love what this manager has done for the team, and they can see success. Fans may not, but the owners can, and I can. So my perspective is one of, I believe that this manager will take this team to a title win.
Okay.
He's dominating top teams.
Sorry, Vinny. Go
in
on.
fact, on top of that, Liverpool and Man City haven't beaten us in 3 years.
But they won the title instead.
What we need to do as the board, as a responsibility, I need to give him the tools he needs to have in order to win the title. That's my responsibility to my manager. I'm not thinking, oh, if we don't win next year, I'm going to sack him. What kind of mindset is that?
No, Apollo, we're not saying that we don't think Arteta can win the championship. I mean, the Premier League.
Yep.
That's not what we're saying.
Yep.
He needs to get over the line. It's not a debate. And if what you're saying is true, okay, and even from a business perspective, we shouldn't be here on January the 4th not having a striker, because the same board and club that is believing so much in Arteta, he wants Sesko.
Yeah,
okay, so we shouldn't again be in this situation. So these are the points I'm trying to say to you. We can't be.
Yeah, I understand your points. Yeah,
hold on. We can't be saying that the club believe in this great manager and not giving him a striker. He's only wanted a striker this season. He went out and bought Havertz last season when all the fans have been crying out. So these tangibles, when you say we fans, I think it's disrespectful, because we're fans, but we've got business sense and we've got knowledge of football, and there's a common denominator of getting over the line. When we're talking about managers getting their clubs over the line, Arteta, Arsenal Football Club, the players need to get over the line. And I think the longer it goes on, it does not help Arteta. It doesn't help.
Okay, so I don't disagree with that. But what I do have a disagree with is when you said we all fans, we all have a business sense. I don't hear that business sense. I
gave you the business sense about Thomas Partey. Hold on, Apollo. I gave you the business sense 2 years about Thomas Partey, and I heard on this channel and all of your feedback, and I stay silent. And I'm sitting down and watch all of the business sense go to pot, because you cannot have a player of Thomas Partey's value to Arsenal football walk out the club. He's
no, listen, bro. Let me talk. This is
that boat of sales, so I can't really comment on that.
That's business sense, though.
This is sports entertainment business. Do you understand? And this is the thing. Arsenal Football Club, with Stan Kroenke in the sports entertainment business, they say top 4 is enough. You spend a moderate amount of money, you get in the top 4. You know, you're doing well. You like Apollo's thinking. There's no need to sack the manager. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? The game's changing. City and Chelsea have shown us that, and PSG as well, winning is super profitable as well. It's not just about, winning is very vain and you got this trophy. No. Your premium goes up. When you win, you make money. City and Chelsea have shown you that. They've spent,
and that's the thing. So
they've won, and they've caught up, because with that winning, the premium goes up. Everything goes up. Sponsorship goes up. Everything goes up. So as a sports entertainment business, so you've got to start winning.
So I'm glad Nabil said, because on my last podcast, you guys remember I talked to you about the finance of the club, and I talked to you about over the last 4 years, the club has had a revenue of around just over 400 million. Last season, we didn't just beat that record; we detonated it. In the first time in our history, we've made about 640 million, which is astronomical.
Imagine what that would be if we win. Imagine what that would be if we win.
Oh yeah, if we win, it would be slightly more, not a lot
but
more.
The revenue from other areas would be more. The revenue from other areas would be more. The sponsorship.
Yeah, you're right. More. Commercially, so I'll take your point, and I'll agree commercially. On the football, you've got to the semi-final of the Champions League and earned 114 million in that competition. In the league, your team is so good that you're more games aired on television with that club than any other team. You didn't win the league, but the money that you're making, you've superseded. You're top dollar right now. You are the biggest game in town. That's your brand. The manager's done that. So we're sitting here having this discussion about if you don't win the title next year, you're gone. I'm not having that. I'm thinking if I own this team, if I own this team and I had a guy who did this for my franchise, I'm backing 100%.
I think you're being disingenuous.
No questions asked.
The question was put out. Okay, we responded to the question.
Nabil and myself didn't turn around and say, do you know what, we're sacking him this year. The question was put out. So I think you're being disingenuous. We're answering the question and we're going further and saying, okay, if it's the second in Champions League and the semi-final and so forth, what would you do, Vincey? Nabil, what will you do? Apollo, neither one of us are turning around and calling for his head. What we're calling for is Arteta to get over the line. And there's a clear difference. Right. And I think the club are scared to put the club, the player, I mean, the coach and the team in that position, because we should not be here. In the 4th of July.
Vincey, with all, I've never been.
I don't settle. I don't settle for top 4. Okay, we should stop that nonsense now. We have put. I believe Arsenal have had the capabilities to push a Man City further than they have, and they did it. Okay, our eyes are open. We've beaten them. We got over the line last year. Okay, with Arteta, as you rightly said, has put Arsenal in this position. We've got to stop being fearful of winning what we're capable of winning.
Yeah, I get that, but
we've come second 3 times now, right?
The reason why,
3 times.
Yeah, the reason why I'm not on board, and I don't think I ever will be, is because there's too many variables and complexities in this game to say, you know, we're definitely 100% going to win that title next season. I've made Arsenal favourites.
Apollo, bro, you'll never win.
All right, I'll let you guys say what you're saying, because I don't think.
No. I'm not interrupting you. I'm just going to say this: you will never win.
It's just
with that mindset, you'll never win. You're too sentimental. You've got to have a.
Why won't they win?
You won't win because you keep saying, because you're saying. Listen,
I do understand that.
He's still with us. No, I was saying if he does, let's just say
I'm still
let's just say he's second in Europe, second in the league this season. You're not sacking him. Second in the season after that, you're not sacking him. Second in the season after that, you're still not sacking him because he's doing all right. He's getting in a decent position business wise. He's making money, bro. You're never going to win.
But that's what it comes down to.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, listen,
Xavi weren't doing too bad at Barcelona. He was still second. They weren't doing too bad at Barcelona, but they had to get in Hansi Flicks to show you.
Okay.
And the same is with Luis Enrique. You've got to think like a winner. There's plenty of good managers out there that will get you over the line.
Right.
Can I just say
this?
But
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about myself. Yeah. I work for a billion corporation.
Yeah.
I employ 35 people who work in my company, who all work for me. Mm-hmm. My mindset is that we have to be doing the right things to be successful. We do not have the right to be a top 100 company unless we are doing the right things, following best practice, have that commitment, have every foundation laid in. Once we have that, then we will win. To outrightly say, I'm going to win that title next season, that only happens, Nabil, if we are doing the right things. And that's my mindset.
Apollo, I get that, but there's time as well. Yeah, I get that, but there's time as well, bro. Like, there's time as well. Like, the way you're putting it, like, it may never happen in your lifetime then, bro. You have to be.
Well, but it has. I'm living proof in my company that it works.
Can I just say something? I have to jump in this because I'm glad, Apollo, you've said that. Because when the question was asked to you, you've said you're not interested in the FA Cup, you're not interested in the League Cup. So by your own metric, out of your own voice and your own business practice, Arsenal should walk before they run. Okay, and in doing so, get a 26-man team. Take the League Cup seriously. Take the FA Cup seriously. Put a team out so that young players can develop with the squad. And guess what? with the young manager that the club believe in, who is so great, should be able to manage our B team to win an FA Cup and a League Cup at the same time as we are going for the league. Because you know what? City have done it. Liverpool have done it. You're wanting Arteta to go for the big trophies, the Premiership and the Champions League, and he's showing he can't even do it on a consistent basis. He's done it on those games in the COVID period, but since then we've struggled to even manage the FA Cup and League Cup. So walk before you run, get over the line, and those big trophies are going to come a lot quicker because he's got over the line. Right now, he's not got over the line, and you've said it in your own self. We have no divine rights to win the league or to win the Champions League. But I don't believe any Arsenal fan should turn around and look at the League Cup and the FA Cup and say, I don't want that, but at the same time, settle for second. What are we doing? We're spending a whole heap of money. Yeah, fans are sitting down there. Fans are crying at the cost of going to watch football. Yeah, and we're not able to go and take up our shirt and celebrate a victory. Our women have gone on and done something. Arsenal, I said the club. Arteta needs a trophy to cement what he's done. He needs a trophy to cement what he's done thus far.
Brother, you listen. I'll tell you what. All I'm saying is this: yeah, you're spending money every year. You're spending money, right? And I tell you what, we're all in a performance business. We're in the business of performance. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You got to hit targets. You got to pass your targets. You've set the bar. You come second in 3 consecutive seasons. If you're not coming first, you're not progressing. You're not kicking on.
Yeah, I agree. But then coming second in 3 progressive seasons shows.
Yeah, you've done well. Yeah, yes, of course. No.
It shows.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and it shows the fine.
But that only lasts so long.
So what?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
What you have to do, you have to look at those lines, say, where did we fall short? And then you have to analyze that, have the conversation, which we know they've had. Yeah.
Bro,
and then you work towards fixing it. And that is what they are doing.
No, there's no doubt about that.
That's on them to figure out.
This is my point.
Yeah, that's for them to figure out.
I've never said Arteta out. I've never once said Arteta out. But what I'm saying, I'm agreeing with Thierry Henry, and I'm agreeing with Ian Wright, and I'm saying, well, I tell you what, now we are starting to side eye. You've come second 3 times now, right? There's no Arteta out, but listen, in my job, in my business, I can't stop still like that. I can't keep hitting this ceiling. I can't keep hitting this ceiling. I've got to pass that. It's like they give you a target, you hit your target. They're not going to give you the same target again. They're going to increase the target, and you've got to reach that one. And if you bounce, okay, try again.
As I said, my answer.
You can't keep.
My answer would depend on a series of factors that happens next season. Yeah, it depends. I will only if everything comes full the manager's shoulders and he was the one that is responsible for the team missing out, then I would think that they would need to be a replacement. But that would depend on those factors, that it would be down to the manager.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine we have the window.
That's what I've always said.
We've just had a transfer window show, right? And we've looked at players like Eze. We've looked at players like Gyökeres. We've looked at players like Madueke, which is a good cover for Saka. You looked at Mosquera, great centre back cover. You look at all of these decent players, and maybe even Rodrigo's is a luxury as far as I'm concerned. But if you're getting these players, you're getting your left wing, improved left wing. You're getting your centre back cover. You're getting a good midfielder in Zubimendi. You're getting your right wing cover in Madueke, and you're getting the striker that you're looking for. And you've still got Havertz, and you've got Jesus. you've run out of excuses right there. If you have a really good window, you can't say injuries.
Yeah, and that's what they as I said, the board need to give him a team to win with, and that's what that's what he didn't have that last year. So when all these things happened, it was embarrassing for him. And behind the scenes, he's smiling in front of the TV cameras while everybody's saying, "You didn't buy a striker, you didn't buy a striker," and he's smiling, trying to protect the board. Then he's going back to them and saying, "What are we doing? Let's get a striker." And then the whole thing is just, it was what it was. But listen, let's see how it plays out, and we judge it as we see. King has sent another message saying, "Who are your most favorite players of the season?" So this will be our last question before we kick off.
Who you guys most improved?
I've got a couple of players. Yeah, I've got a couple of players. Kai Havertz, I have to put a mention. Kai Havertz. Imagine that he played half the season, got injured in January in Dubai, and he scored 15 goals. He scored the most goals he's ever scored in his career. He, in the first half of the season as a number 8, he led the team in tackles and duels and got no credit for it, by the way. I think Gary was the main guy who was giving him credit for it as well. Thing was clicking. He's an impact player who needs that arm around the shoulder, and he got that from Arteta, and he was just absolutely outstanding. Improved as well, I'm going to say Urian Timber. I think Timber's the best right back in the league. I would dare somebody to show me a right back who's as good as he is in all phases of the game. This guy doesn't get beaten on the overlap. You know, wingers, no matter how good you are as a winger, you ain't beating him. And it's really good. We've got Miles Lewis-Skelly on the other side, who's doing exactly the same thing. And will Miles Lewis-Skelly count as improved player? Possibly, he would. But then you're going to talk about the second half of the season from Declan Rice as well. I mean, how good was he? How good was Declan Rice in the second half of the season? So, look, if I had on all of those guys, I would probably say most improved player of the season was Urian Timber. That would be my choice. Whose would be your choice, Nabil?
I was about to butt right in there because I don't think Urian. This is a very interesting question because the question is, who is the most improved player? Urian Timber. If you know Urian Timber, he's arguably the best all-round defender in the league because his position is actually, we bought him to cover Saliba. He's a brilliant right centre-back. He steps up and he plays like, you know, them old school defenders who can step up and play football like a midfielder. That's what Urian Timber's for. He can step up and play football from the centre-back position. And we saw what he done at left-back and then he got injured. But then he come in and he does it at right-back. I'm not surprised. For me, he's not even in that category. He's just probably one of the best players of the season, but not the most improved. And it's that Declan Rice. I wouldn't put him in that category, most improved players. One of our best players, yeah. When I look at the most improved players, I'll tell you who falls in that scope for me. I'm looking at Gabby M, because if you remember, a good 2-3 seasons ago, he used to make mistakes like that would lead to goal scoring opportunities.
Oh yeah, but I thought he was good last season. I thought he was
brilliant.
Good.
He was brilliant.
I thought he was good the season before.
Yeah, he's been steadily improving. Like I said, there was times when the two players who would make the mistakes, the two players who were most liable to make mistakes were Granit Xhaka and Gabby M.
and Mustafi.
Even after Mustafi, I think there was another left. There was a left back. I think was it Zinchenko? There was another player, but it was like it might have been Zinchenko, but like definitely Xhaka in the middle of the park. And do you remember when Gabby he went right up to the center circle? The striker span him, and he had to bring him down, and he got a red card. Do you remember? He had to drag him. That was a pivotal moment because he definitely cost us. He got spun as a centre back, middle of the park.
And roasted him in the changing room. It's on all or nothing. He roasted him.
I'm not surprised because that's you.
Yeah.
You like, as a centre back, you stepped up. You got too tight. He's Spaniard. All you can do is bring him down. Now, if you look at him last season, he was better than William Saliba, who is arguably he's in the best defender in the world argument. You know, when you talk about the best centre backs in the world, you talk about Van Dijk, you talk about Rudiger, you talk about William Saliba. These are the guys that get mentioned. Dias might come into it nowadays, but that was a couple of.
Hey, Nabil, that's a good shout from King there. That's a good shout.
Hold on, let me finish. The point I was making
Nabil ain't finishing up.
No, the point I was making is that you're looking at Gabby M as most improved, one of the most improved players for the season. And then you're looking at Kiwior, again, from where he came from. And then you're looking at Mourinho. When you talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly, when you talk about all these other players, they've set a bar and they've stuck to it. They was just good. They was just good players. But when you look at Mourinho, he came in and players were like, what did we sign? I mean, fans were like, what did we sign him for? What does he do? You understand what I'm saying? They're like, what did we sign Mourinho for? This is a waste of money. And by the end of the season, he's like one of our heroes. Yeah. The guy played a number 9, like a true number 9. You know what I'm saying? He's like one of our saving grace. For me, I'm telling you right now, the flag's up. The white flag's flying. I don't know. I can't call it. It's between Gabby M, it's between Kiwior, and it's between Mourinho. And I seriously cannot call it. I back out.
I think there's players who have maintained their form from last season, and with Gabriel Magalhaes got injured. So I'm not sure how much he could improve on what he did last season. Because I thought, remember the first 3 games he set out, and the rest of the season he was phenomenal.
Who's that? Gabby?
Magalhaes. Yeah. And this season he's continued on that same form and just got injured. So I agree with what you said. Kiwior, I think I rated Kiwior last year. I thought he stepped up and he performed well and should have been given more opportunities this season and wasn't. And when he did come in, he's performed well. So again, improved. I think he's maintained. Again, I'm going to say it. Thomas Partey, for me, improved. There's things I wanted him to do and score. The guy was scoring goals.
Yeah,
so you look and you see what he was doing. I see that as a huge, huge improvement. Mourinho, I can't say he's improved because it's his first season.
I know he improved. When he started out, he looked shaky, bro. He looked shaky. You know, he did. He definitely did.
You know, I still have question marks on him in his natural position. So again, when we're talking about improved, I can't say he's improved. He's done phenomenal up top. Havertz, you know, I came in and said if he has the chances, he should put 15 goals away. And people saying that's too much to expect from a person in that position. You're playing up top in an Arsenal team.
Yeah.
So it's not too much to ask. But again, I go back to it. Thomas Partey, for me, he's improved. His fitness improved.
That's all that really happened to him. He just got consistent. He had a great run of games.
Consistent. So yeah, I mean it's a tough one. I would say Thomas Partey, but I can see why you're on the fence because
I can't call
He's always been great. He's always been great.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Thomas Partey. He's just had injuries. He's always been at that level. Apollo, I agree with you 100% because Apollo has always been championing Thomas Partey. He's always been that kind of voice in the wilderness. No one's really noticing, but he's always banging his drum. And I've been seeing it. He's always kept a very high.
He's incredible, man. He's incredible, and that's the reason why I'm sitting back saying, "Ooh, this Zumba Mendy experiment is probably going to be the key to us winning the league."
He's the only player, Apollo. He's the only player who can do what Partey does. No one's even close. There's no one.
And if everyone's saying he's Rodri levels, well, Rodri won X amount of titles for Man City and made it look easy. And you know, with us, we lose players and they get injured and we struggle to win the league. With Man City, they lose one guy and they fall to pieces. They just tumble like a pack of guards. One man, you know. They lose one guy.
That's how important that position is. It's the backbone. It's the spine. It's an important position. But for me personally, I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Mourinho. I'm going to go with Mourinho, man, because like I said, he done a job for Spain. He signed for Arsenal, and then I looked at him and I was like, I know there's something about him, but it wasn't happening. But even when he played at number 9, and even when he dropped into midfield in the 8 for those games, for those last handful of games, he still played with a certain quality. I cannot wait to see this player with Zubimendi. I cannot wait to see him.
So, Nabel, can I ask you a question? And I did a little before. If Mourinho's improved because of what he was doing playing centre forward, what are your expectations of him in rotation in the midfield when he drops back into that? Because we know that he's not. If Havertz is fit, Havertz is going to start. If we get Gyökeres or we get Sesko, 9 out of 10 chances they're going to play ahead of Mourinho at the top. So what is your expectation of Mourinho as the player he was purchased to be in the midfield?
Well, you see, this is the thing. The hardest thing, even Trossard shows this, the hardest thing is the reason why you saw Mourinho play the way he did is because he had a nice run of games, albeit at number 9, and those goals that he scores give you confidence. This is a confidence game. We know what he can do. When you've got that confidence and you're playing and enjoying your football, it doesn't matter if you're playing number 8 or you're playing number 9. If you know how to do it, you're going to express yourself. The difficulty that Mourinho's going to face is that, like you've just said, if we get Gyökeres, I believe he's going to start ahead of Havertz. It doesn't really matter because either way, we're going to get goals out of either of them. But there's no way Mourinho starts ahead of Havertz or Gyökeres, number 1. There's no way Mourinho is going to start ahead of Declan Rice. So Mourinho's going to start on the bench. The challenge is going to be keeping up that level, that bar that he's just finished off with, coming off the bench sporadically in games few and far between.
And for me, it's all about now Arteta's got all these toys and these chess pieces. How are you going to use them? Because we know Arteta's been regarded as one of the great tactical minds in our game today. But because you've got that amount of players, how could you shift your tactics towards each different team? Newcastle's very physical. Man City's very technical. Liverpool play with speed and pace and energy. So we already understand that over the last 3 years, City can't beat you, Liverpool can't beat you, but you're struggling against Newcastle, you're struggling against Villa, there's certain matchups where you're struggling with. So for me, the question is tactically, how Arteta's going to be able to enter these games with a squad where he can kind of move pieces around and create different matchups. You know, if you like Newcastle, big, strong, tall, physical team, that means that your midfield now should consist of, you know, maybe a Havertz, a Moreno. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like go man for man, create mismatches and overloads physically in the midfield.
But that's what excites me.
Yeah, that's what excites me as well, because that's where I can see a big change.
That's what excites me about us getting Eze. Because like I said, if we can get that guy, we can play some different, you know, we can play Mourinho in that 8, we can play Rice in that 8, or you can play Eze in that 8. You know, you can really mix it about and be more dangerous, be more threatening from midfield positions. Like you said, games that you need to win, you're bringing on someone like Eze to play in a midfield, in an attacking midfield role. That's a bit more dangerous than bringing on Mourinho, if you ask me, to be fair. So,
Andrew, if I'm being honest with you, I would probably take Anthony Gordon over Rodrigo. I think this guy is ridiculous. I think he has the capability. What's that?
Would you take him over Eze?
No. No, I wouldn't. Because you know why? Because losing Captain Odegaard and that creative force for 3 months really killed us. Like, we were switching Trossard and Havertz in like no one can create. And we know he's the best creator in Europe. We've seen all the stats. But our team just drops dead in creativity when we lose him. So I need Eze in this team for so many different reasons. But I think for me, when I look at Aaron Ramsey, who's a player that I love, I think Anthony Gordon's got the capability to be better than him in an Arsenal shirt. So this guy's got so many levels. Being at Newcastle is really holding this player back, I think.
I think Anthony Gordon is a good question, Andrew, because I think you're looking at Arteta types of players in how we play. So when I mentioned about Lookman and Anthony Gordon are Arteta types of players.
Yeah.
I believe these type of players can walk into Arteta's first team and do when Cranky asks the question is a defensive. Anthony Gordon can play that role on that left defensively. Lookman can play that role defensively. That's why it's like you can. It's good to see and look and think Arteta type of players and your type of players. Because
how much would Anthony Gordon cost?
A lot. I think he would be nothing short of about maybe 75, 80. They if they're talking stupid money for Isak, they're not playing. And remember, they're FFP cash strapped. Newcastle are the richest club in the world. Yeah. If you look at someone like Arsenal's owners worth 9 billion, City's owners worth 30 billion. Newcastle's owner, his wealth is 320 million. So this guy is 10 times richer than Man City. Billion. Yeah. This guy's 10 times richer than Man City. The
but you can't spend it.
Sorry?
You can't spend it.
No, yeah, because of the FFP rules, you can't spend it. Yeah. So they've got their problems. Aston Villa's got their problems. So, we need to take advantage of that if you're going to go in. But they've already said, look, we want 100 million for Guimaraes. We want 150 million for Isak. It's just stupidness. And they were in the Champions League now, so I don't think anyone can touch those players. But that's a good shout anyway, Andrew. That's a good shout. All right, guys, I think we're done here for tonight. We've done 3.5 hours. It's been a good lounge meeting.
It's been good.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
It's been a while, man. I haven't seen you guys for a while, man. It's been good.
Yeah, I know, and we miss you, man. If you guys are not aware, me and Nabil are both Wembley boys. I've known him actually through his sister Martine. I've known her for a very long time, and that's how I knew she had a younger brother who used to go to a school that my son Leonsis, his mum Mendes went to, so they both went to the same school.
Mendes, yeah.
So I've known Nabil since he was a little boy, and so we go way back, and our circle and who we know in Wembley is big as well. So it's like we know the same people. We kind of roll in the same way there. So it's one of those things. It's like Tony. Again, know Tony and me went to school together. I've known Tony since I was 11 at secondary school. So yeah, it's good to get Nabil on because we do bounce off each other well, just like we do with Tony and Vincey and Lewis and Gary. So yeah, I just wish we saw Nabil more. I know he's a busy man. We've all got family life, but it's good to see you back, bro. And just called you the Dark Destroyer.
We'll be back
because I'm going to keep up, guys, with transfer news for you guys, so you'll be getting regular videos. Our next podcast is probably going to be our predictions for next season. We'll do the first 10 games, but in saying that, we're probably going to do the preseason games as well. So we'll fit something in probably middle or end of this month where we'll do the. Let's leave it to the end of this month because we'll know a little bit more. Transfers will be done. And we'll have a good eye for what we feel. Then we'll do the predictions for the first 10 games, and then we'll do that. So thanks, guys, for joining. Nabil, Vincey, love you like cook food. And guys, thanks for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.
Lovely.
Blessings, guys.
Thanks.
Nice one. Nice.